Hey, good morning and welcome to the Dennis Herrera Show. My name is Dennis and happy hump day! Humpty, humpty, hump day! What's going on, Robert? Well, good morning, my big bro. Inder, welcome, welcome. Thank you for the compliment. I appreciate you. Thank you so much, guys, for being here with me. You are watching the landscape mode. Most people, as you know, come in through my portrait mode, which is actually it's kind of weird. It doesn't automatically put both of the versions available for you guys to see before I even come live. But as I come in here, once I'm live and I'm able to see the portrait mode, that I can come in here and start updating the information that I have, just as you are actually seeing it on this version of it. I know it probably doesn't make sense to you unless you're doing what I do. It doesn't make sense. I always think that it's nice to always explain it to people. All right, and I got like one person on portrait, so it's going to take a little while for people to come in and try to find the channel. I know that YouTube, I mean, it's not a perfect system. I can't blame YouTube for everything, but I can tell you that YouTube does not send notifications to all of my subscribers. So I'll take what I can get. And I welcome every single one of you guys in here that come in and support me. Scott Byrne, how are you? Good to see you in here, brother. Love to see that hope symbol on there. I mean, the Superman symbol. As a matter of fact, today I'm going to try to match. I want to see if I can get, let me see, I forget what I think it's red and yellow. Let me see. Where did I put my hat? Okay, I'm going to see. I'm going to match. I'm going to wear my blue shirt with my red tie and my Superman hat for the second half of the Dennis Herrera Show, just for the hell of it. And who knows? Maybe I used to have these. I used to have this black shirt, that had the hope symbol on, and I loved it. I had that shirt for years and years until it just finally gave out. But yes, I am. I'm not a big fan of Superman, but I do like DC comics. I think some of them are kind of wacky, but I think Marvel has gone very. I don't know. I guess both of them have gone very woke in some ideologies, but that's science fiction. Those are make believe stuff. Here's some interesting news that you probably don't even know about. So there's this game called DC Universe Online. Okay, you can look it up. The introduction, it looks phenomenal. I love it. I think it looks great. But here's the catch. When, jeez. I love playing a game. You can have any meta superpower. You can have the powers of Superman. You can have the powers of the skills of Batman, the powers of Wonder Woman, etc. And as I like to fly around, I like to be Superman, and I create my character as close as I can to a Superman character. And as I'm flying around, now get this, guy. This is real. I'm serious. As I get flying around, I go to the base, to the base of the Superman statue where he's standing like this, with his cape and everything. And as you look up right under his crotch, guess what I see? I'll let you guess. What do you think I saw when you look up at the statue of Superman? What do you think that you see? By the way, good morning. This is coffee from my favorite espresso location, and this is Broadway Espresso here in Everett, Washington. Best baristas make the best coffee. Never disappoint, but I will give credit to a few more. Down is on 41st Street, I believe, next to Chevron. Very friendly. Baristas are always very friendly. And man, they always, if I tell them exactly what I want, because it's what I get here, they give me what I want, and it gives me the flavor that I'm looking for. Some others, not so much. So with that being said, let's see if anybody answered that question. What do you think? What do you think, Scott? What do you think I saw when I looked up and I saw the crotch of Superman? What do you think I saw? What do you think I see? What do you think I saw? What did no? What do you think I saw? Oh man, let's see. We get the portrait on here. Okay, so this is portrait. Robert, are you in the portrait and the landscape mode? Because it looks like you were on both. I think you went back to the portrait mode, didn't you? You like that one better? Oh man, what happened? What did Daniel do? Well, Daniel, you come in here acting like a fool. What's going on? Let me take a look. Let's see. Rise and shine for unemployed Herrera. Oh man, no, Scott. I wish. Second guess. I'll give you a second guess. Jake Jacobs. No, he has a coochie. I kid you not. I kid you not. They gave it a little triangle with a little bit of pubes and everything. It's crazy, guys. This is how woke they are. And they had, this is years ago, by the way. They introduced a trans Superman. I'm not joking. I wish I was. And so I thought, maybe this is just a mistake, right? Somebody pulling a joke, somebody trying to be funny, right? So I go to the Justice, hall. This is in space because this is the futuristic DC, and so I go, and they also have another statue of Superman. Okay, no, it's not. Yeah, bro. I don't know what to call it, Superwoman. I don't know, but listen. So they have another statue of Superman, and I thought, maybe it was, maybe I'm just overthinking it. It looks like a cooch, but maybe it's not. So I went to another Superman statue, and apparently this is what they do to all Superman statues, because Superman is like Superman, right? Well, they took off his balls off and gave him a little cooch. I just, bro, I'm telling you, that right there, I know it shouldn't, but that right there kind of, let me turn down my mic. I think I'm peeking here. But that right there actually just kind of turned me off for the game. And I started liking it less and less and less. And they started doing scenes, about this trans and this gay stuff. And I'm just like, bro, like, they will even start like blocking you. Like they'll literally kick you out of the server if you mention anything that was remotely bad according to the system, right? And it's just like, what the hell? We're not even saying anything wrong at all. Like, we're just playing a game. We're talking shit and all this stuff, but we're playing the game. You know what I'm saying? We're just really chilling. And yes, I am going to be 50 years old here in a couple of months. I feel like this couple of months has been a long couple of months. But, I play with guys that are like 60s, some of them, like the oldest guy that I play with, I kid you not, the oldest guy that I play with, I believe he was like 78 years old. Seriously. A 78-year-old gamer. And I don't know, there's probably even older gamers out there. But that, my friends, I'm picturing this 78-year-old playing games with me. And he's got this bottom bottle Coke glasses on. This is how I picture him. And he's just going off, on his game. And he's got his Diet Coke. And, he's got his potato chips and whatever else some of the people use when they're playing the game. And I'm just like, bro, I'm having a good time. You know what I'm saying? So, with that being said, I love gamers. I do. Listen. Let me tell you something. A lot of people come into my channel here, right? This is my podcast. Now, I find interesting, just so you guys know, there is some people that come into my channel and they're like, oh, I'm so glad that your views are down so much. I can't wait for you to be canceled. Well, thank you. Now get the hell out of my chat. You know what I'm saying? Like, people come in here and start being rude. And it's like, okay, you know what? Did that make you happy today? Does that make your day better to come in here and just say something nasty and just be a pest? whatever tickles your brain. But anyways, you know what? I know a lot of gamers that are so good, and I have encouraged a lot of these people. And they're so good. I say, hey, bro, why don't you do lives with your game, and help people, get better and whatnot. And these guys are making money. I know this guy. He plays Destiny 2. Okay. Now I don't know him personally, but this guy I have played with him before, and he was what the hell was he? What is he a software design? I don't know what the hell his position was, but he was making good money, right? He has a good salary. He quit that. He quit that job because he was making enough money on YouTube. Now, I'm not going to throw you, I'm not going to throw you out there and say, if you have YouTube, like me, I got 18,000 plus. We're going close to 19,000 right now. Don't think that I'm making $100,000 a year. Right now, I'm working like $4 an hour. That's what it turns out to be. It's like about $4 an hour pay. So I am taking a big, huge ass cut, right, when it comes to money. And the idea is that this is sort of an investment for the future. Now, whether this works or not is irrelevant. I'm the type of guy that I have to try. If I feel like there's something that I can do, if there's a way that I can use my skills to try to make money, well, I'm going to do that. And even though right now I'm losing a lot of money, maybe in the long run it will pay off, and eventually I can probably have a nice salary with good sponsors, etc. And the thing is, I'm also picky with sponsors. I'm not going to sponsor something if I don't believe in it. So if I ever sponsor something on here, you got to know that is because I really believe in the product. With that being said, Broadway Coffee, that is not a sponsor. That is just me sharing my experience with where I got my coffee. So they're not sponsoring my channel at all. Although it would be nice. If anybody from Broadway Coffee hears this, get in touch. Check out my email at Dennis, AHORA @gmail.com. Get in touch if you know of a sponsor. Give him my information. Tell them to get a hold of me, and let me see what they got. All right, let me go ahead and let me take a little pause here. I'm neglecting my big bros in here. My man, welcome to the chat. Isaac, good morning, sir. Good to see you on here. Isaac is one of these guys that comes in here. I don't think Isaac supports me per se, but I think that when Isaac puts a comment down, even though it sounds like really negative sometimes, he has a point. The skepticism is legit. You know what I'm saying? Like, just because you go against what I say, it doesn't mean that it's bad. But Isaac, kudos to you, brother. Kudos to you because you don't put hateful comments. At least I haven't noticed one. You have some comments that are negative in a way that you don't agree, or maybe you're skeptical, and I appreciate that. That is exactly what I support. That's exactly what I want to see in my show. So thank you for doing that. There is a lot of people. Look at this. Isaac Newton right there, just talking about the devil right here. Happy early birthday. Come on, man. How can I not love this guy? So Isaac, big shout out, bro. Big shout out. 75% of what you say, but I'll take that 25. That 25% right there, my friend, is what makes you a real human being, and is what makes you okay in my book. You can have a 10% with me. The one thing is that a lot of people just can't let go of the hate. And see, and Isaac, you don't have hate. You just disagree with me. And that's okay. That's what we want. We don't want hate. We want disagreements, and that's fine. And I try to address it as best as I can. But I don't always have the answers. Let's just be honest. I don't always have the answers. And when I talk about something, it's because I really believe about it. Okay? Like when I voted for Trump, I know how he talks. I know his past life. I know his personal life. I know where he's going, what his goals are. And I will tell you something, that Trump has been consistent for decades about what he's been saying that he's going to do, and he's doing it. So, you know what I'm saying? So I got to support that. If I tell you that, like, for example, right, if I talk about illegal immigration, that is a bad thing. That's not spreading hate. I told you, I'm a migrant, but I come here the right way. I want to encourage a good, positive message. Just because I'm pointing out the obvious, that is illegal, that is bad, it doesn't mean that I'm promoting hateful content. Because what I'm saying is, if you want to be a migrant, but you got to do it the right way. See, there's different ways to go about it. The criminal is always going to defend their criminality, and that is why they think I'm being hateful. If I talk about religions, how many times have I said anything bad about Buddhists? None. Or any other type of religion that just, they want to be fruitcakes or whatever. I don't say nothing bad about that. But Islam is a government, is a political movement that is meant to destroy other nations. They are not there to support other nations. They're not there to say, hey, you know what, you want America great again? Here, let me send you some Muslims. They are hard workers. They are all for your country. They want you to prosper. They want everybody to be free. They respect the Constitution. They want nothing. That's not what they want. You see what I'm saying? So, that's not hateful. I'm just pointing out the obvious. Now, when I talk about Christianity, I'm surprised people still come in here when they're Christians, because I'm very tough on Christians, especially with the Catholics that are still having idols in the church. I think Catholics that go and pray to Mary, why are you praying to a statue? Mary does not communicate with God. The saints in the Catholic Church, they don't communicate with God. They're stones. They're chalk. They're clay. They're wood. They're not real. Second commandment, do not make any engraven images. Do not worship false idols. It's in the Bible. It's not me. I go against it. So the difference is that I'm not saying that Pentecostals are good. No. Baptists, no. Methodists, no. No. None of them are perfect. But none of these the denominations of Christians, none of these tells you to go kill people. That's not what we do. Every single one of these denominations will tell you, even though men's doctrines are always faulty, but they preach the gospel of Jesus Christ, the good news. And the salvation message is what's important. Everything else, I get it. You want to preach about prosperity, you should always bring the message of repent against sins, and then you can talk about prosperity. If you want to talk about happiness, well, first preach the message of repentance and then bring happiness. If you want, you know what I'm saying? Like you got to have a certain thing to do. The Islamic people, even if you're a good Muslim, you don't condemn the bad Muslims. You don't go out on the street and protest against Hamas. See, we would. We go against all these Catholic priest, fathers, they call themselves, and God says, don't call anybody father but me, right? No, don't call anybody father but Father in heaven. And the Catholics call themselves Father. The only other father that is allowed to be used is a father that is a parent to their children, adopted or biological. But yet the Catholics want to call the man father. See, they have a big problem when President Trump shows up in a white robe and some red garment on top of it, healing somebody, and the idolaters automatically go and say, oh my God, he thinks it's Jesus Christ. And I'm thinking, okay, who the hell do you think Jesus Christ is? I get it. Listen to me. That is the stupidest argument, and I hope that you share this with people you know. Even if they don't come into my channel, I hope that you share this with people you know. Listen to me. I want you to listen to me very, very carefully. If you are on the wagon that President Trump was depicting himself as Jesus Christ, let me just first of all tell you how stupid you are. I'm sorry, but that's how stupid you are, because it's the truth. Now, let me tell you something. What was the robe of the Jews? How did people dress back in the Jesus Christ days? And did Peter not walk on water? Did the apostles not go out and heal the people? Did Jesus Christ not give us the power to go and pray for others and to exhort and expel demons and heal and prophesy and do all these wonders in his name? In his name? Anybody can wear that robe. Anybody. To think that is Jesus Christ is the stupidest thing I ever heard. And this is why God tells us not to make any images. of anybody, but always trust in him. And I would just suggest any Catholic church, get rid of all those stones, all those idols. Get rid of them. You can continue your doctrine. That's what you believe in. But I'm telling you right now, you got to get rid of those idols. Now, Captain Treasure, Herrera, you're the snake in the garden. Go ahead, Captain Treasure. I like people to put their money where their mouth is. Go ahead and tell me what have I said wrong on everything that I said. But before you make a stupid comment on my chat, go read the 10 Commandments and get back at me. Yeah. Go read the 10 Commandments and then come back at me, okay? All right. Thank you for stopping by. Good morning, Big Sis. Tanya, how are you? As we say in Honduras, let me see. My warm felt hugs to you. That's a horrible translation. It is. I give you a warm embrace. I think that's the best way that I can say it. All right. With that being said, man, I'm going all over the place. This is the ADD. This is the beauty about the ADDHD. Some people call it a disability. I call it an advantage. Some people call it a curse. I agree. Nah, not really. I call it a blessing in disguise. A blessing in disguise, because if I didn't have ADHD, I truly wouldn't know how I can handle everything that I do in my life. I'm telling you that right now. Excuse me. So there is a negative, because when you have those sad moments, right? You maybe a little moment of depression or something that comes into your life. Well, when you have ADHD, it multiplies greatly. It multiplies greatly. If you think that you can't get rid of those thoughts, because oh my God, I just have so many things to think about. Multiply that times 100, and you're inside my brain. I'm gonna tell you something. My mother worried about everything in life. And one of the things that she would do, this is true story. Thank you, Ben. No morning meds. The only medication that I take is my coffee after prayer. But you know what? My mother will take care of everything, and all of a sudden, she would just go, "Mom, what's wrong? What are you stressing about?" She says, "I'm stressing because I got nothing to stress about." True story. My mother said that. My mother said that she was stressing because she had nothing to stress about anymore. And the thing is this, guys. There is eustress, or eustress, however you want to pronounce it. But it's in Spanish, I know it's eustress. So eustress. That is good. It's just like an alarm that says, "Hey, wait a minute, you got to slow down. You got to think about what's happening right here." You know what I'm saying? And that's what that is. That's a good stress, okay? Something that tells you, hey, you got to get your ass to work. Hey, I don't want to get out, but I got to get to work on time. You know what I'm saying? That stress is right there. That's the good stress. The bad stress is the overwhelming one. And a lot of times, in society, you can get that stress from just... look at Michelle Obama. And yeah, I know, Robert, Michael, I get it. But let's try to be respectful here one day. Let's call her Michelle Obama, okay? Let's give them that. I haven't checked the hardware, so I'm gonna have to go say that she is a woman, a female woman. Okay, look at Michelle Obama. She goes on and says that she is so stressed and sometimes feels oppressed by the burden that society brings up on her. Like, she has to straighten up her hair. Like, I'm serious. Like, she has to straighten up her hair because she needs to acquire some sort of acknowledgement, or let me read. Let me go find it. I know she said it. Let me see. Here, I'm going to read it to you exactly as it says it right here when you search it, okay? Let me tell you, I know that we have things to cover, and we'll get to it, but I think it's important that who knows, maybe 5 people in here, maybe 1 or 2 people that are in here might be going through some hard times. And look at this. Michelle Obama, by the way, she went from rags to riches, so to speak, right? And Michelle Obama was the first lady in the in the White House. 2 terms, President Barack Obama. That means that she was first lady for 8 years. And this is what she says. Michelle Obama has expressed feelings of being constrained by societal pressures, specifically regarding race and gender stereotypes. Imagine that. Well, of course, a lot of people give it a hard time saying that her name is Michael. But she has highlighted the pressure of black women to conform. Listen to this. Black women to conform to beauty standards such as straightening your hair. What's wrong with straightening your hair? You can do that. You don't have to be black for that. White people straighten their hair, such as straighten their natural hair, and the frustration of being stereotyped as an angry black woman. Well, if you're an angry black woman, change that. Why you got to be so angry? I don't understand. Additionally, she has shared that racial inequality. Think about this. Racial inequality, as she is the first lady in the White House. This is the leftist mentality. Something went wrong here. Okay? And she says inequality and the COVID-19 pandemic caused her to experience low-grade depression. Now, let me tell you something. Last night, there was a caller that told me that I'm a successful businessman. Right? He says, I'm well off. I'm probably rich. I got all this money to go around, right? Okay. And I tried to talk to him about the poverty mentality, right? The poor mentality. And this example can be applied to many different things in life. And one of them is this right here with Michelle Obama. Low-grade depression. Imagine this. Imagine she is in the White House, right? She is in the White House. She's the first lady. Like, she's at the top of all the women. You know what I'm saying? Like, she is the lead. She is the head of all the women. And she felt the low-grade depression. She has achieved a level of honor more than any other woman can have, besides the honor of being a mother. Okay? But she felt the low-grade depression. Now, imagine this. This is a woman that now is successful, sort of popular in a way, has her fans on the leftist party. But she felt low depression. Imagine the poor people, the ones that work hard every day, that struggle every day, that had to go through the COVID-19 pandemic. What are they supposed to feel? Well, here's the poor mentality. If you have a poor mind, you're going to think poorly. And so what I mean by that, we didn't become victims of COVID-19. I mean, they took our rights away there for a second, right? Literally took our rights away. But we didn't just give up. We didn't just drop there and stop. We continue to fight. We continue to fight. So I told the guy last night that called in. It was a black man. And he called in. And I gave him the example about gas prices, right? And the example was if the gas price right now, okay, if the barrel of oil cost $130 to $135 during the Biden administration and you paid $5.62, $130 a barrel, you're paying $5.62. I'm trying to slow it down for this guy. And I said, but now the barrel of oil is $95. And now we're paying $5.79. So we're paying an extra 17 cents more at $35 cheaper cost of barrel. And he said, oh, I'm not good at math. You don't have to be good at math at all. You just got to compare. Very high barrel oil price, lower gas price. Very low oil barrel price, very high gas price. He couldn't think of it. And he kept saying that he is, he's being kept down, and he thought that I was calling him having a poor, like no money mentality, and he tried to say that he had money. I doubt it, but the poor mentality is that, like, you think that you're always being kept down because of circumstances around you, and I don't believe in that. I believe that you can fight it. If that's who you are going to fight against it. Not once have I blamed rich people for not having money. Not once have I ever blamed rich people for having money when I don't. By the way, I was an A student on trigonometry. I don't know how high of a math level you went to, but that was me, okay? And I always ace my calculus test. But thank you for asking. Now, with that being said, you don't have to be a math genius to make comparisons that are obvious. But you know what? The way that I carry myself, the way that he sees my little setup here, the way that I talk, the way that I defend rich people and getting tax cuts so that we can get hundreds of thousands of jobs created, he assumed that I'm rich. He assumed that I have all this money. But that's farther from the truth. If one day I become a billionaire, I doubt it. Okay, I don't doubt it, but who knows? Who knows? Who knows what God has? But if I became a billionaire, I know what to do with my money. I know so many people that need help. I kid you not. Listen, I know how much money I need to take care of my family. Okay? And I'm going to tell you, I'm against $1 million salaries for pastors. That is not what the Bible tells you. Prosperity, that is not what it tells you. You cannot go in there. What's up, FB? You cannot you cannot just go and say, I'm preaching the word of God, and the more people that we get, the more tithes that we collect, the more money I'm going to make as a pastor. The church is not a business for you. It's God's business. You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of people just don't realize that. And so it's not just that I'm, this religious fanatic. It's not I'm this political guy all the time. It's not that. I'm trying to make sense of things. And people are just so caught up, like they're like I said last night, their glass is full. There's no room for them to learn anything new. So what are we here to talk about? We can't talk about it. I can tell you, Jesus, if you're really going to go down to it, Jesus said, go onto the world and preach the good news, right? And then the disciples were like, they started talking about themselves and be like, oh, all right, let's get it. All right, let's start getting some stuff. Whoa, wait a minute. Go out and preach the good news everywhere. But don't take anything with you. Everything will be provided for you. That doesn't mean that they're going to be rich. You understand? If you want to be if you truly want to be a pastor, you would do that without a salary from the church. You would get a regular job so that you can take care of your family. And all the money that gets collected, it is to pay electricity nowadays, phone lines, other staff that is actually doing a job, like accounting, doing taxes, etc. But as a pastor, I'm not saying that you shouldn't make money, but just pay attention to what I'm saying. If you really want to be a pastor, a leader in the church, you cannot do it because you are going to go and make money off that church. You got to have a job. I give you the biggest example. When I was a missionary pastor, and I was 1 year I spent in Yakima, I had a full-time job. One of my checks, I paid 80% of my check so that I can feed people in the church. I didn't get paid 1 cent from the church. Now, when people invited me to go preach in their churches, which, by the way, I went and preached in Baptist church, in Pentecostal churches, etc., they will collect an offering from me. And that was payment for what? For my gas and for whatever I needed to do to be able to go to that. But it wasn't like I got paid. I charged $10,000 in order for me to go preach at your church. No. If you want me to go to another state, then you would pay for the fare, right, for the plane ticket and whatever I'm going to stay, whether I'm going to stay with somebody from church or at a hotel, whatever it is that you're going to put me on, right? And that's the way that you give your offerings. But at some point, if the pastor is needed full time all the time and really doesn't have time to work, then he needs to have a salary by the church. But there should be a cap. I don't believe any pastor, I don't care if they have 100,000 members. Think about this. Think about this. You got 100,000 members. Each of them give you 10% tithes on their checks. Let's say each one of them gives you 100. If you have 100,000 members and you got $100 per person, now work with me here with the math, right? That's $10 million, I think, right? So $10 million. Imagine that. $10 million. Okay, you got to pay all these bills. I get it, But you shouldn't be making more than $150,000 to maybe $200,000 if you have that many people in the church, because that means that your responsibility is a lot bigger, okay? And I get it. I'm not saying that they shouldn't get paid. Every worker or every laborer is worthy of pay. What I do here, entertainment, is providing a service for you, and then you come in here and you troll or you support or whatever you do, but this is entertainment. This is my hustle. This is my labor, and I deserve to get paid. Do I demand it? No. But I do occasionally, remind people, that this is how I am able to do my job, by supporters like you. It's that simple. But, for some reason, the leftists, they like to call people grifters, and they have no respect for somebody's talents, and they like to come in here and judge somebody behind a keyboard like the little keyboard warriors that they are. What I don't understand is this. Why are they here? I just don't understand that part, okay? By the way, if you are a mod on my chat, don't just put people in timeout because you don't like what they said. It has to be something really hateful and stupid if you're going to put somebody in timeout, all right? Because sometimes I want to hear what they say. If you block them before I even read it, that is not a good thing. I got to be able to see what they do, all right? Let me read a comment here from Oregon. It says, our church doesn't pay the pastors a dime, and they don't choose to be a pastor. They get forced to be a pastor. Well, okay, number one, nobody should be forced. If they are being forced to be a pastor, they're not a pastor. Okay? Because God does not force you. God gives you the option, your free will. Either you believe in him or you don't. Either you want to be a pastor or you don't. Nobody should be forced. Okay? So I would like to know what church that is and the address so that I can send them a nice little letter and remind them what the Bible says about that. Okay? So now, with that being said, I know a lot of people come in here and start judging on my character, but I can tell you I have fed and clothed thousands of people, and I'm sure that you haven't done that yourself. So I would just keep my mouth shut and just say, quiet, piggy. You guys don't know what the hell you're talking about. But you know what? To God be the glory. I don't tell you that to boast on myself, but you have to say it to prove people that they're wrong. Okay, so I'm glad that I have some of those experiences in my life, and I got some of the things under my belt, as they say. All right. With that being said, thank you so much for being here, and welcome to the Dennis Herrera Show. We're going to start off by catching up with where we left off last night, and here we go. We're going to talk about religion another time, but I'm going to share this clip from Maria. You know what? I love Mornings with Maria. If you haven't watched Fox, I do recommend it, okay? I recommend that you watch Mornings with Maria. She has some pretty good information. She had President Trump recently for an interview. Some people like it, some people don't. It doesn't matter. My job is to point out all the stuff, whether good or bad, and that's what we do. So why don't we go ahead and take a listen to this clip from Race for New York Governor Intensifies. And then let's go ahead and dig into the subject. Go ahead, Maria.
The race for New York governor getting tighter. A new poll shows incumbent Kathy Hochul up 13 points ahead of Nassau County Executive Bruce Blakeman. And that's down from 20 points higher just 1 month ago. New York Congresswoman Elise Stefanik was joining me yesterday on this program. She told me why she decided to drop out of the race. Plus, she also addressed the problems that New York is facing right now. Watch.
I made the best decision professionally, but also personally. I have a 4-year-old son, and I also am maintaining as one of the deciding votes in a very slim House majority. So it was the right decision at the time, Maria, but I will tell you, this brain drain from New York, there is no end in sight. We lost more population in the state of New York, and it's not because of the weather, it's because of the tax and spend failed policies. Here you have a socialist mayor of New York City celebrating his first 100 days, where they continue to talk about raising taxes higher and higher, making the city more and more unaffordable. And Kathy Hochul, who is a do-nothing governor, the worst governor in America, who is frankly hijacked by the socialists who hold her hostage. And it's very sad for the people of New York. Every single day, Maria, I hear from New Yorkers who are moving to Florida, to Tennessee, to Texas. So Republicans need to get smart in New York and not play footsie with these radical Democrats.
And joining me right now is New York gubernatorial candidate and Nassau County executive, Bruce Blakeman. Bruce, great to have you. Welcome back.
Thank you, Maria. It's an honor.
Well, I want to get your take on your campaign. I'm not seeing a lot of you. Where have you been, Bruce? It looks like Kathy Hochul is going to beat you. What are you going to do about it?
Tell them.
Just the opposite. An internal poll that we did 2 weeks ago has us in single digits. We are now 6 months ahead of where Lee Zeldin was 4 years ago, and we're raising money. We are a high-profile campaign. We had a press conference yesterday that was attended by all members of the media. I've been traveling throughout the state. We are in a better position now than we were 4 years ago, and we're going to win this race, because when you compare my record of having the safest county in America, not raising taxes in 4 years, cutting a $150 million tax increase in my predecessor, having the lowest poverty rate in the state, even though our demographics are a mirror image of the state. Compare my record of 4 years as an executive of a county larger than 8 states with 110,000 more Democrats against Kathy Hochul, the most overtaxed, overregulated state in the United States. Our electric bills are 50% higher than the national average. People are miserable in New York State, and they want a governor that will make them happy, and I will make New Yorkers happy by putting them first. I will cancel our sanctuary state policy. I will not spend $8 billion on people who've been in New York for 15 minutes when that money should be used for hardworking New Yorkers, not people who just came here illegally and just arrived in New York State. So we're on a roll. We've got a tremendous amount of momentum. We're in single digits right now. We will win this race. I will be the governor on January 1st, 2027.
Well, let me tell you, you're talking to the choir here. You got New Yorkers on set right now, and that's why we're all fired up, Bruce, okay? You got one, Kenny Polcari, who used to live in New York, but you hightailed out of here and went to Florida. I live in New York, but we want to know specifically how you're going to get New Yorkers out to actually vote for you, Bruce. Make the case. You just talked a lot about the issues of New York, and we understand. But will you be able to get those people out to come vote for you?
Yeah, people are fed up, Maria. They really are. Just look at all the people that have left New York State. And most of those people are high net worth individuals. But for middle class families, they don't have those choices. They're stuck here in New York. And that's why they want a new governor, a governor that puts them first, cares about them, will cut their utility bills in half, will lower their taxes, will create job prosperity and make for safer neighborhoods. That's my record in 4 years in a county larger than 8 states. I have the experience, I have the ability, and I've got the policies that people want.
Kenny, jump in here.
Bruce, listen, I love this, and I would love to see you move into the mansion. I think, because I don't see enough of you, right? So I need to start seeing you more on social media, whether it's Twitter, whether it's Instagram. You have to really pound yourself. You know, you got to get your message out there using social media.
Can you do it?
Yeah, well, we have Yeah, of course. We have a tremendous social media presence right now. We're on Instagram, TikTok. We're on Facebook.
Okay.
We send out text messages every day, emails. We have actually bought television. So we're doing all the things. You know, you don't cut a lead in half by doing nothing. Right. So we are on a big roll. We have the momentum. And as I said, we're 6 months ahead of where Lee Zeldin was, and he lost a very close race to Kathy Hochul. We're not going to lose. We're going to win.
Well, look, New York is bigger than just New York City. So let's just establish that right now. And I know you've got a big support system underway in Long Island and a lot of other places outside of New York. So talk to us about that. What are the issues that they're telling you are important to them? Because when you just look at New York City, Mayor Zoran Mamdani just celebrated his first 100 days Sunday, and he was with Vermont Senator and Brooklyn native Bernie Sanders, okay? So we know who Zoran Mamdani is. Watch this. Just take a look at this.
I have thought often of the Margaret Thatcher quote. The problem with socialism is that you eventually run out of other people's money. If anything, my friends, it seems that you eventually need a socialist to clean up the mess.
What the hell did he just say? Does that make sense to you? That doesn't make sense. What the hell are they clapping about? That's the mentally ill people there. There's a lot of retards, guys, and you have to remember this. There's a lot of retards out there.
On January 1st, I told New Yorkers that City Hall would hold a singular purpose: to make this city belong to more of its people than it did the day before.
Wow. He thinks a socialist is going to clean up the mess. Is this guy living under a rock or what? Mamdani announcing the first government-owned grocery store will open next year in East Harlem, Bruce. It's located close to several other independent stores, and it'll cost $30 million in taxpayer money. He built it from the ground.
Free. Everything is free. Free food. Free trains. Libtards are so retarded, and they fall for it every single time. After we get done with this clip, we're actually going to watch the press conference from Carolyn Levitt, so just stay tuned.
So when you compare what's going on in New York City, Bruce, to some of the other areas outside New York where you have a strong foothold, what are you seeing?
Well, first of all, there are many cities in New York, just not New York City, that are depressed. We've had a brain drain, we've had a capital drain, we've had a people drain, people leaving this state. So whether it's Binghamton or Rochester or Syracuse or Buffalo, we've had people moving out because of the misery they have living in New York. But let me say this about Zoran Mamdani. He ran on a platform of affordability. What did he say? He was going to give everybody a free bus ride. Well, instead of giving a free bus ride, he and Kathy Hochul increased the bus fares. He's proposed raising taxes on middle-class property owners by 9.5%. He wants to impose a death tax on people who have a net worth of over $750,000, which is the whole middle class. Right. This guy's not going to make it more affordable. And with respect to the grocery stores, he said it'll take him 4 years to open 5 grocery stores. Well, the private sector could do that in 4 months. Wegmans, King Cullen, ShopRite, Red Apple, those are all private grocery stores that can open in 4 months. He's going to take 4 years to open 5 grocery stores. As Winston Churchill said, socialism is nothing more than shared misery. People are miserable enough in New York State. They don't need Kathy Hochul and Zoran Mamdani to make them more miserable.
All right, so tell us what you're going to do in terms of the state of New York. And do you think that Kathy Hochul, she's saying, oh, I'm not in on this property tax increase. I don't want to raise taxes. First, she told everybody to leave town if you don't like Mamdani. Then she said, oh, our budget has been deteriorated. You got to come back from Palm Beach. So what do you think is going to happen here in terms of Kathy Hochul? Should she win? Is she going to change everything and just agree with Mamdani after November?
Well, Kathy Hochul's done more U-turns than any cab driver I've ever met. So let's talk about her U-turn on congestion pricing. Before the election, she said she was pausing congestion pricing. The day after the election, we got congestion pricing, which is nothing more than another tax on the middle class, just for the privilege to ride on a public road that the taxpayers already paid for. And congestion pricing is going to come to a community near you, whether it's Queens Boulevard or Flatbush Avenue or any other major thoroughfare, because they need to raise money. They have no concept about curbing a budget. New York State's budget is twice the budget of Florida, and we have less of a population.
Right.
How can you possibly rationally explain that?
Yeah.
It's out of control. I will put a curb on it. We will cut taxes. We will stop the crazy regulations that drive business away. And I will cut your electric bills in half by getting rid of the green energy scam, which is nothing more than a vehicle for people to contribute to Kathy Hochul's campaign and get billions of dollars on projects that produce very little energy.
Yeah, and of course, they've also wanted in the past to fund the police. You are a supporter of the NYPD and our wonderful law enforcement agencies across the state.
Well, Kathy Hochul is the most pro-criminal governor in the whole United States of America. That's saying a lot. And the bottom line is that I will pardon Sergeant Duran when I become governor on January 1st, 2027. He was just doing his duty. The morale is terrible in all our police departments throughout the state because of Kathy Hochul and Zohran Mandami.
All right.
Unbelievable. You know what? He's 100% correct. I don't think that the socialist Democrats have enough brains to vote for him. The fake Democratic Party that we have today is doomed. And for those of you who don't know why I want my Democratic Party here back, is because the Socialist Democrat Party are destroying this country. And that is not what Democrats stand for. So if you think you're a Democrat supporting the lunacy of the leftists right now, you are part of the problem. Whether you like it or whether you acknowledge it, whether you see it or not, it is irrelevant. You are the problem. You're the cancer that is killing our country. So I will implore you, if you really are a Democrat, you would be on our side today. That's my message to you. If you are a true Democrat, you would be on our side today. And you will help us get rid of all this corruption out of Congress, out of the Senate. Got to get rid of all these corrupted mayors. Socialist Democrats got to go. All over the country, Socialist Democrats got to go. I'm telling you, that's the only way that you're going to help this country. Too many hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars in fraud. That is a lot of money. A lot of money. Hundreds of billions of dollars in fraud. And you know what I hear from the left? You know what I hear from the left? Hey, Samuel, how are you? You know what I hear from the left? Oh, my God, he wants $200 billion for continuing this war. We can end hunger today. Shut the hell up. Stop fraud, and then you can end hunger today. Stop fraud, and then you can end homelessness. Stop fraud, and we can have a better country. Shut up. Sit down and quiet, piggy. It's so upsetting that people don't give a shit about this country. Where has common sense gone? You guys are not real Democrats. You are snowflakes, bended sideways. You don't even know who the hell you are.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. How are you? Good to see you. We have a packed house, and I have two very special guests with me today. I will start with some scheduling announcements. Tomorrow afternoon, President Trump will travel to Las Vegas, Nevada to hold a roundtable and deliver remarks on the working families tax cuts. On Friday, President Trump will travel to Phoenix, Arizona to deliver remarks at a Turning Point USA event at Dream City Church. And I'm really honored to be standing here today on Tax Day with two esteemed members of the President's cabinet and his excellent economic team, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and Small Business Administrator Kelly Loeffler. As we have seen this tax season, President Trump's working families tax cuts have put a historic amount of money back into the pockets of the American people this year. On the campaign trail in 2024, President Trump looked voters in the eye and promised them he would sign the largest tax cuts in the history of our country. And on Independence Day last year, President Trump and congressional Republicans delivered, passing the largest tax cut in history for working and middle-class Americans, including no tax on tips, overtime, and Social Security. They also passed unprecedented tax relief for small businesses, farmers, workers, and families. With Tax Day officially here, the numbers prove these tax cuts have been nothing short of extraordinary. More than 53 million filers claimed at least one of President Trump's signature new tax cuts. The average refund this filing season is more than $3,400. The Trump administration has issued more refunds and larger refunds than in any year of the history of our country. And I will allow Secretary Bessent to break down the numbers in greater detail. President Trump and Republicans in Congress have always believed that the American people know how to spend their money better than the government does. But what the American people must not forget is that every single Democrat in Congress voted against these tax refunds. The media has largely omitted this fact and other critical details in their stories covering the benefits of the Trump tax cuts. If the Democrats in Congress had gotten their way and blocked President Trump's historic legislation, Americans would have faced the largest tax hike in history, nearly $4 trillion. The average taxpayer would have seen a 22% increase in their tax rates. Democrats in Congress have proven over and over again that they are the affordability frauds who believe the government should keep more of the American people's hard-earned money. This president and Republicans in Congress fundamentally believe that Americans deserve to keep more of their hard-earned paychecks. It's a clear contrast for American families to keep in mind. So with that, I will turn it over to our great Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, and then he will turn it over to Kelly. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Caroline. I'm here to tell you that it has been a fantastic tax season. It has gone smoothly. It has gone efficiently from the point of view of the IRS, but most importantly, it's been a great tax season for the American people. Thanks to promises made, promises kept, through the working families tax cuts, the president has delivered the record refunds to the American people. More than 45% of the filers of the returns that we have seen have had at least one of the 4 president's signature policies: no tax and tips, no tax and overtime, the deductions for our great seniors, and the deductibility of interest on auto loans for American-made cars. And I will tell you that one of those that Americans have taken is no tax and overtime. And it's the American way. If you want to work longer hours, you get to keep more of your money. And with that, we are seeing, I want to encourage everyone out there watching today to change their withholding if they haven't already done so. Because if you change your withholding, then you will get an automatic real wage increase on a weekly or a monthly basis, and you will be able to keep more of your money this calendar year. So with that, we have also seen with the Trump accounts, we have had 5 million families file for Trump accounts for their children. 1.2 million of those are eligible for the $1,000 seed bonus. So we look forward to that picking up more and more. For those of you who haven't done it, it's easy to remember, Form 4547. You can do it while you're filing your taxes. You can do it at any point during the year. We think this is going to be transformational in terms of financial literacy. This is Financial Literacy Month, and at Treasury and all over the administration, we are working with the American people, with American families, not only to give them more of their money, but to I will turn it over to Kelly.
Great. Thank you, Scott, and good afternoon, everyone. Excited to be here on Tax Day, important day for small business, because small business and their employees have real relief thanks to President Trump's working family tax cuts. As administrator of the U.S. Small Business Administration, it is my great honor to serve our great president as the cabinet-level voice for America's 36 million small businesses. President Trump is right. Small business is big business. Indeed, they are a massive economic engine that creates 2/3 of all new jobs. They represent 99% of all businesses, and they drive about half of our GDP. The working family tax cuts are putting money back into the pockets of the hardest working Americans. That's why small business and their employees are benefiting the most. President Trump and congressional Republicans have saved Americans from a $4 trillion tax hike, including a staggering 20% tax increase on working families. It would have destroyed millions of jobs. Now, I've traveled the country from Maine to Alaska, and not a single worker, not a single small business asked to pay $1 more in taxes, yet every single congressional Democrat voted to raise taxes, not just on small businesses, on our workers, on our seniors, on hardworking families. Thankfully, Republicans united behind common sense policy of letting Americans, not Washington bureaucrats or fraudsters, keep more of what they earn. Now, so far, as you've just heard, 12 million small businesses have an average tax saving of $7,000. The 20% small business pass-through deduction is now permanent, offering them certainty to plan for the future and the rocket fuel to create 1 million new jobs. Eric Williams at Prince Manufacturing in rural Georgia, he specializes in fabrication and machining. This year, he's reinvesting his tax savings to hire 500 new employees. The provisions for 100% expensing of equipment, expansion, and R&D are also growing production to help us reclaim industrial dominance. At Blue Patriot Fab, which I visited this week in Omaha, the owners highlighted one of their newest buildings, and they call it the Big Beautiful Building because the tax cuts helped them build it. Made in America is back, and that's why the America worker is winning too. No tax on tips and overtime means that millions of employees are now rewarded, not punished, for working more. And it's already benefited, as you just heard, 31 million taxpayers. In Baltimore, John and Tony Minadakis are proud second-generation owners of Jimmy's Seafood. Now, with no tax on tips and overtime, their 200 employees know that coming into work means going home with more pay. And Wade, a CNC machinist that I met at Lehigh Valley Plastics in Pennsylvania, said he routinely takes on extra shifts, and now the tax cuts reward his extra effort. And the benefits aren't just for tax season. As you've heard, the Trump accounts are connecting young people from birth to the power of our free enterprise system. With 529 savings accounts and Workforce Pell for trade schools, we're now training the next generation of skilled workers to fill millions of open jobs at small businesses. So in closing, America is open for business again. Yet every Democrat voted no on the very tax relief that is restoring Main Street, that is putting more money back into the pockets of hardworking families. Small businesses are rebounding from years of Biden inflation, decades of unfair trade, and massive regulatory overreach. But thanks to President Trump's tax cuts, they now talk about expansion, hiring plans, and generational opportunity. This is America First in action. Lower taxes, rising wages, and a thriving Main Street. Now millions of Americans are getting their largest tax refund ever, and Main Street is getting historic tax relief to keep the American dream alive. Thank you.
Good. And before we take questions, I want to provide some numbers for you all. So tax day statistics as of April 12th, over 53 million filers, nearly 45% claimed one of President Trump's signature tax cuts. The average tax cut for filers benefiting from one of President's new tax cuts is over $800. Over 6 million filers have claimed no tax on tips with an average deduction of $7,100. Over 25 million filers have claimed no tax on overtime with an average deduction of $3,100. Over 30 million seniors have claimed the enhanced deduction for seniors with an average deduction of $7,500. And over 1 million filers have claimed no tax on car loan interest on American cars for an average deduction of over $1,800. The average refund this filing season is over $3,400. Over 34 million families have claimed Republicans' enhanced child tax credit, which is permanently doubled and expanded by the working families tax cuts. Over 105 million filers have claimed the permanently doubled standard deduction, simplifying tax filing for millions across America. So as much as people do not like to pay their taxes, and we saw a survey today that 70% of Americans still believe that they are overtaxed, this is a great day for the American people.
Thank you, Scott and Kelly. We'll now open it up to questions. You're welcome to ask me questions or either of the great cabinet officials next to me. And we'll start, as always, with our new media seat. Mr. Posobiec, why don't you kick us off?
Thank you, Caroline. Secretary Bessent, if I may, there's been this media narrative out there that while we see the data on tax refunds, that it's not good enough, that the tax season has been too soft. What is your response to this media narrative regarding the tax refunds?
look, it's been an incredible tax season. We have done more with less at the IRS, that we have moved over millions of taxpayers to digital tax accounts, and that leaves us able to service more taxpayers in person and on the phone. And as we can see, the economy was very strong. We are seeing growth across the board in all areas, and as Kelly said, small business, Main Street are really the big beneficiaries, and this is what they don't want you to hear. That Wall Street always done great. This administration is focused on parallel prosperity and bringing prosperity back to Main Street, and that starts with people keeping more of their money.
And one for Caroline as well as the administration in general, if I may. This past Saturday, I published a video of now former Representative Eric Swalwell in bed. The president's heading to Las Vegas. Well, Eric Swalwell was in Las Vegas in this video. I'm told, according to geotagging, this scandal has erupted now. Accusers coming forward, many others coming forward, as well as questions regarding his extremely close relationship with Arizona Senator Ruben Gallego. And I want to know if the administration had any comment on the fact that Senator Gallego seemed to be very vocal about wanting the release of the Epstein files, and yet when questions come to his own involvement with Eric Swalwell, he doesn't seem to want to provide anything.
Yeah, look, I think the accusations and allegations against former Representative Swalwell are despicable and disgusting. I think it's also quite plausible, as you point out, Jack, that there were many other Democrats in this town on Capitol Hill who knew about his perhaps illegal behavior, certainly his disgusting and inappropriate behavior, and why were they silent for so long? I think those are questions that must be raised of these sitting representatives, including Mr. Gallego, and I hope that the journalists in this room will do their jobs, and the journalists on Capitol Hill will do their jobs to ask Democrats in power how they knew about such despicable behavior from one of their elected representatives for so long, but never said or did anything about it. So that's what we hope to see as far as the White House and the president is concerned. Thank you. Peter.
Thank you. I have one for you and then one for Secretary Besson.
Sure.
For you, Caroline, there are now 10 American scientists who have either gone missing or died since mid-2024. They all reportedly had access to classified nuclear or aerospace material. Is anybody investigating this to see if these things are connected?
I've seen the report, Peter. I haven't spoken to our relevant agencies about it. I will certainly do that and we'll get you an answer. If true, of course, that's definitely something I think this government and administration would deem worth looking into. So let me do that for you.
Thank you. And Secretary Besson, it doesn't sound like we're going to have $3 a gallon gas by summertime, which we had initially been told by the Energy Secretary. He now says that it would be very aggressive if we're going to get to the $3 a gallon gas by the summer. So when are we really going to get $3 a gallon gas?
Well, I think that's going to be the up to how the negotiations go. President Trump said this morning that he thinks we're nearing the end. The U.S. kept their side on the ceasefire. We've stopped firing. The Straits of Hormuz have not been completely reopened, so we will see. And I'm optimistic that during the summer we will see gas with a 3 in front of it sooner rather than later. It's Bank Week here in D.C., so I've been meeting with a lot of my Middle Eastern counterparts, the finance ministers, and they all say that once the Straits are open, they can start pumping again within 1 week.
So not by summer like Memorial Day, but maybe by Labor Day?
Again, I'm optimistic that sometime between June 20th and September 20th that we can have $3 gas again. And as I said this morning too, we are going to be watching the gas stations because they raise prices very quickly when when the crude oil prices went up. We hope they'll bring them down just as quickly as crude oil prices have come down, which they've come down substantially just in the past 10 days.
Great. Sure.
Thank you so much, Caroline. Can you give us an update on the president's thinking on the next attorney general? A lot of names have been going around, like Ron DeSantis, Rudy Giuliani, Ed Martin. They're being floated as contenders. What qualities is the president looking for in a new AG? And will there be accountability for what many have described as weaponization within Biden's office when he was the president?
Sure. Well, certainly ensuring that there's accountability for the weaponization of justice that took place under the Biden administration is a top priority for this president. With respect to names that are floated, there are always names floated in the press. Sometimes I have a chuckle when I read some of the reports about certain people floated for certain jobs. As far as the president is concerned right now, Todd Blanche remains the acting attorney general. The president feels he's doing a good job, and that's where it remains right now. I don't have any personnel updates for you today. Annie.
Thank you, Caroline. I have a question for you and also for the Treasury Secretary. First of all, there was an interview that Dr. Mehmet Oz did recently where he described the president's views on his own diet. He said that he argued that diet soda is good for him because it kills grass. And if you pour it onto the grass, the grass is killed and it therefore must kill cancer cells. I'm wondering if you can, was this sort of an accurate description of how the president sees?
Look, as we all know in this room, I think you know the president has a very good sense of humor. It's one of his most underreported characteristics, I would say. I have heard him tell this joke before. I think the Wall Street Journal should get a better sense of humor.
And then another one for you. Has the president filed his taxes and is he going to release them publicly?
It's actually a very good question. I have not inquired with the president directly about his own taxes, but I'm happy to do so and we'll get you an answer on that.
Secretary Besson,
I have filed my taxes.
The president has publicly said that you are the reason that he has not fired Chairman Jay Powell. Will you make that case again to him, as he's recently said that he still wants to fire the chairman?
Look, I am confident that the process that we have laid out in terms of Kevin Warsh, becoming the next Fed chair, he's going to have the hearing on the 21st of this month. He's a great candidate. We know that the Republicans on the Senate Senate Banking Committee are aligned in that, and I am very optimistic that Kevin Warsh will be the chair of the Fed on time, and that will be a moot question.
Stephen, go ahead.
Secretary Besson, you mentioned that the no tax on overtime is the biggest one that people are claiming. I think you said 25 million people. Have you seen evidence that more companies are offering overtime or that people are working more overtime and increasing their productivity? And the second question, the health insurance industry is advertising heavily in D.C., describing themselves as the good guys in the whole healthcare system. President Trump has threatened to haul in their executives and force them to lower prices. Can you provide any update on the administration's efforts there?
Okay, so I'll take the second one last because that's not my area. I don't wear a lot of hats here, but I am sure that the president makes his views known with corporate executives, and if that is true, then they will be hauled before him. And with overtime, as Kelly and I go out and talk to employers and workers around the country, they all want more overtime. And there was this narrative that I think over 2 million illegal aliens have either voluntarily deported or been deported, and that there would be a worker shortage. Well, what better way to fill that gap than with overtime for hardworking Americans and for them to keep more of it?
Yeah, I'll just add that a great example are the factories that we see coming back thanks to 100% Made in America expensing. Coosa Steel is a great example in Rome, Georgia, where the owner was down to running one shift 1 day a week. He's up to 2 or 3 shifts 5 or 6 days a week. So thanks to reindustrializing this nation through our small manufacturing base, which most manufacturers in America meet the small business definition, 98% of them, we're seeing more shifts taking place, more opportunities for overtime, and then more willingness of workers to take on overtime shifts because in the past they were penalized by the tax system for taking on overtime.
Elizabeth, go ahead.
Thank you. This is for Administrator Loeffler. You talked about how the One Big Beautiful Bill benefits small businesses. With small business optimism falling in March, is the administration planning on providing any additional tax relief or other resources to small businesses that have been affected by high fuel prices during their run operation?
Yeah, so one data point does not a trend make, and the long-term trend under President Trump has been for small business optimism to be above its 52-year average. Under Joe Biden, small business optimism fell below that average for 34 consecutive months because small business was being crushed by regulation, massive red tape, the threat of high taxes, and all the burdens of the Green New Deal. So right now, small businesses are really in growth mode. They're planning to hire, and the optimism is very strong. If you see in the NAM survey, National Association of Manufacturers came out, their optimism is up 5 points. So I think this is temporary, and we'll get back on trend.
What's the status of extending the Iran ceasefire, Caroline?
Yes, so I saw some reporting, again, bad reporting this morning, that we had formally requested an extension of the ceasefire. That is not true at this moment. We've remained very much engaged in these negotiations, in these talks. You heard from the Vice President directly and the President this week that these conversations are productive and ongoing, and that's where we are right now. I've also seen some reporting about the potentiality for in-person discussions again. Those discussions are being had, but nothing is official until you hear it from us here at the White House. But we feel good about the prospects of a deal. The President mentioned that in his interview yesterday, and it's obviously in the best interest of Iran to meet the President's demands. I think he's made his red lines in these negotiations very clear to the other side, and so we are continuing to see how these conversations go.
Would those talks be in Islamabad, or where would they be the next round?
They would very likely be in the same place as they were last time, yes. With the same, I would just want to make one point that's important to the President. The Pakistanis have been incredible mediators throughout this process, and we really appreciate their friendship and their efforts to bring this deal to a close. So they are the only mediator in this negotiation. While there have been many countries around the world who want to offer their help, the President feels it's important to continue to streamline this communication through the Pakistanis, and so that's what continues to take place. Will.
Thank you, Caroline. How much room do you see for additional sanctions being placed on Iran? And do you feel like the United States is getting enough support from allies on that front? There was a letter that went to Oman and some other allies that suggested maybe the sanctions weren't, this could be for Secretary Best as well, but the sanctions basically weren't having the effect that the United States wanted.
I'll let the Treasury Secretary, who's in charge of sanctions, answer that question.
Yeah, I think that's not a correct characterization. Yesterday, we announced Operation Economic Fury, and we, for over a year, we have had maximum pressure on the Iranians, both on blocking payments into the Iranian state and going after the accounts of the IRGC. One of what may prove to be fatal mistakes that the Iranians made was bombing their GCC neighbors, and who are now willing to be much more transparent in terms of the funds or do a deeper dive in investigating the funds that are held within their banking systems. So we have pushed out to them the request that we want to freeze more funds of the leadership of the IRGC and any members of Iranian leadership. The other thing that we have done is we have told countries that if you are buying Iranian oil, that if Iranian money is sitting in your banks, we are now willing to apply secondary sanctions, which is a very stern measure, and the Iranians should know that this is going to be the financial equivalent of what we saw in the kinetic activities.
Is this an example of expanding the war economically as opposed to militarily? Is this another phase in that?
Exactly.
Secretary, what was the coordination? Any updates on the insurance program, the U.S. reinsurance program for ships and tankers sailing through the Strait of Hormuz? Any update on that, sir?
Well, it's now up to $40 billion. It's run through the DFC, and we are waiting for the ships to be able to get some semblance of normality, and then they can come to the DFC and our private sector partners and request the insurance.
And what do you tell private shipping companies out there right now nervous about this whole thing, saying, wondering if they should even get near the strait?
What's that?
What do you tell to encourage shipping companies to do business through the strait?
Well, I think we're going to have to wait and see when they are permanently open, because this is a mechanism. When we declare that it is safe, they also have to have insurance. Lloyd's of London had skyrocketing insurance during the time. The rates are still very high. So we want to provide, the U.S. government will make a profit on this, but we want to provide a more normalized level and an economically sound basis for ships to move in and out of the Gulf as they did before the start of the conflict.
Caroline, I appreciate it. Thanks, Caroline. Yeah, thanks, Caroline. I appreciate it. So, I want to cover two topics, if I could: the tax day, but also the confirmation. So, the confirmation hearing set for next week for Kevin Warsh, but Senator Tom Tillis is still a no, and he's holding firm on that. How are you going to win over Senator Tillis to get this confirmation out of committee?
Look, I'm sure Senator Tillis wants to do the best thing for the Federal Reserve, for the American people. He has publicly said that Kevin Warsh is a great candidate for the chair. So let's get to the hearings and see where we are then.
I want to ask you about tax day, if I could. So the tax gains that you've talked about through the One Big Beautiful Bill, is that going to offset the consternation from Americans, for lack of a better term, over the $4 gallon of gas?
Well, again, as I said, no one's ever objected to more money in their pocket. So the Americans have more money. They can decide how they want to spend it. And I did want to come back to the overtime question, because I was up in Westchester County last Friday, and I met with several of the first responders and police unions. And those, whether it's our great policemen, our firemen, our ambulance drivers, they all now want more overtime. And how great it is to have them to be able to be engaged and keep more of their money.
Thank you, Caroline. For both of you, perhaps, are President Trump's threats of a 50% tariff against China still on the table now, or is the letter exchange that you talked about now taking that off of the table?
Well, as you know, the president spoke about the letter with respect to he and the correspondence between he and President Xi. President Xi assured the president that they are not supplying Iran with weapons throughout this conflict, and that assurance was made to the president. It's obviously something the administration keeps close tabs on with respect to tariff. Do you have any update on that, Mr. Secretary?
I don't have an update on the tariffs, but I do have an update on sanctions. Iran is used to be the largest state sponsor of terrorism. China was purchasing more than 90% of their oil, which is about 8% of China's energy needs. We believe this blockade in the Straits, there will be a pause of Chinese buying, but I will tell you that 2 Chinese banks received letters from the U.S. Treasury. I'm not going to identify the banks, but we told them that if we can prove that there is Iranian money flowing through your accounts, then we are willing to put on secondary sanctions.
And are you,
Nick, go ahead.
Thank you,
Caroline. Go ahead, Nick.
Just a quick follow-up. So my question for you, are you considering any more sanctions relief, Mr. Secretary, for countries that are suffering right now in order to give more oil to your allies?
We will not be renewing the general license on Russian oil, and we will not be renewing the general license on Iranian oil. Because again, that was oil that was on the water prior to March 11th. Right. So all that has been used.
Nick, go ahead.
Treasury Secretary, as you both noted, 53 million Americans have used one of these new tax exemptions the president enacted. Can you speak to not only the relief that's bringing specifically working class Americans like waiters, bartenders, overtime workers, but also the impact this is going to have on the economy?
Well, a couple of things there is I can tell you, I think Kelly's very popular, but I think with service workers, I may be the most popular cabinet secretary in D.C. because when I show up, a doorman, not so much bartenders, but waiters, waitresses, they all say, thank you for no tax on tips. Again, I was in a diner up in Westchester County, and this is a home run in terms of what's happening with these folks. And what we can't tell you yet, and we will be able to provide data at a later date, that 52 million is how many have used at least one of those. So we expect that there are probably multiple filers who have used at least more than one of those 4 signature things. And look, again, this is the America First, Americans hardworking Americans keeping more of their money, just like with our small businesses. If we go back and look, when you hear the left talk about this was a tax cut for millionaires and billionaires, they wanted to raise the tax rate for everyone making more than $500,000. That is a small business killer.
I have one question for the Secretary and then the Administrator. Mr. Secretary, since we're on the topic of China a few minutes ago, we are a little over a year past Liberation Day, the tariffs. The goods trade deficit with China has dropped sharply. Are those gains sustainable, and are you worried about any retaliatory actions that could go against those gains?
I actually think we're going to be building on those gains in terms of the trade deficit dropping with China. Since last summer, there's been great stability in the relationship, and really the keystone to the relationship is the strong respect that the two leaders have between each other. My experience has been when the communication is at the top, then we follow that directive and those wishes. We had the meeting in Busan, Korea. In October, we will be having the state visit in Beijing, and so I expect great stability in the relationship, but that doesn't mean that our trade deficit can't continue dropping.
Go ahead. For the Administrator, I know that there are orders and shipments of factory equipment. They are at record highs. How many small businesses has the SBA assisted with loans and supports, with loans to support them?
Well, the SBA set an all-time lending record last year of $45 billion under President Trump, because small businesses now have access to the capital that they need to build in America. Again, we are becoming a nation of builders, and we see that on the ground. Factories expanding. As a result, we have record PMI, which is Purchasing Managers Index, manufacturing expansion, 2 consecutive months in a row of export records. And so when you look at where our nation has come in terms of export-import imbalance, it's been unfair to the American worker and to American industry, and we're reshoring whole industries because of this tax bill.
Libby.
Libby, go ahead.
Thank you. Go ahead, Libby.
I have 2 questions for you. The first one is about Iran. The second one's actually about United Airlines that I want to ask you about. So on Iran, is there a timeline for how long this blockade is going to remain in place in the Strait of Hormuz by the United States that President Trump has voiced to you or that you've heard among officials?
Sure. I will never know. It has been fully implemented, and it's being enforced against vessels of all nations entering or departing Iranian ports. I want to make that point clear. I've seen some misreporting on that as well. This includes all Iranian ports on the Arabian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman. And our U.S. forces in the region are supporting the freedom of navigation for vessels that are transiting the strait to and from non-Iranian ports. So I know some in the press were confused about that. We are supporting the freedom of navigation, just not with respect to any tanker or vessel that would benefit the economy of Iran as these negotiations continue.
So there was reports that the CEO of United proposed a merger with American Airlines. This would affect tens of millions of Americans. That was proposed in a meeting with President Trump. Was that a merger that he has voiced any kind of support of?
It's not anything that we have a position on or anything we're commenting on. I know it's an idea that has been proposed by private industry, but it's not something the President or the White House have an opinion on or are weighing in on at this time. John, go ahead.
Thanks a lot, Caroline. This is for Secretary Bessent. On Monday of next week, importers can start requesting claims for tariff refunds. And my understanding is $127 billion eligible for refunds. What's that process look like? How can a porter and an importer request such a refund going forward?
That's not being run out of Treasury. We will just be the paymaster, so that's being run out of CPB. Yep.
And so explain that process. I understand you're not running it. How does that process actually work? If you're an importer, you paid these tariffs, the Supreme Court found that those tariffs were illegal. What's the process for them to get back that money?
Well, they would be in touch with the CPB, and I think the number you're quoting is so that's the amount who have already requested refunds. So they are already in the chute, and we'll see what the timeline is for that.
Will that affect The U.S. economy, all of those refunds coming out of the U.S. Treasury?
We'll have to see what comes out, and we'll have to see what the companies do with them. Just to be clear, thanks to the Supreme Court, some of this money is going back to China. So is that going to affect the U.S. economy? I don't know.
A question for Secretary Bessent.
Danny, go ahead.
Secretary, you were quoted as saying in an interview earlier this week that it was worth a bit of economic pain for international security. Is that this administration's message to American voters with high gas prices that ahead of the midterms this year that it's worth the economic pain?
Well, the message is the short-term volatility for long-term gain.
And Danny, if I could add term disruption for the long-term strategic goal of the United States to ensure that the world's leading state sponsor of terror cannot obtain a nuclear weapon. That's a good thing for the American people. That's a good thing for people all over the world. And as the president and his economic and energy team have repeatedly stated, as soon as the operation and now the negotiations with Iran conclude and the strait is reopened, we do expect gas prices to decrease. And thank goodness we have a president and an administration that believes in American energy dominance in bringing down prices at the pump. Look at how gas prices decreased over the past year since this president was in office. It's a stark contrast to the previous administration and Democrats in this city who believe in hampering our domestic energy industry, who believe in importing our most precious resources, who believe in implementing policies that created the worst inflation crisis in history. So President Trump has built the greatest economy in the world before. He is doing it again. Of course, we have this short-term disruption, but again, it's for the long-term strategic goal of ensuring that these terrorists cannot possess a nuclear bomb. Jennifer.
For Secretary Bessent, on the Russian oil, I know the sanctions waivers have expired, but how much money did Russia benefit from that temporary sanctions rules? You initially said about $2 billion. Is that?
It could have been $2 billion. We don't know. But it's let's think of a different world where oil spiked to 150, and they would have made a lot more by doing that, by pushing the Russian barrels that were already on the water. They were going to be sold. They were going to China no matter what. We pushed them to our allies. We helped stabilize the oil price. And as you can see, there were doomsday scenarios. Oil's going to 150. It's going to 200. It's going to $250. West Texas crude for the front month delivery is about $92 or $93 now.
Thank you, everybody. I know we have two very busy cabinet secretaries with us here today. Before we do depart, just one final announcement. As you know, this year we celebrate America's 250th birthday. In honor of this historic occasion, President Trump and the Department of Interior will submit plans for the United States Triumphal Arch, which will be an architectural masterpiece to celebrate our history right here in Washington, D.C. This is a rendering of the Arch for you. Thank you, Peter. It's quite beautiful, as you can see, and this monumental arch will beam at 250 feet tall in honor of 250 years and stand on ground that is currently empty green space in Memorial Circle on Columbia Island, a man-made island in the Potomac River managed by the National Park Service. The United States Triumphal Arch will be outfitted with beautiful artwork and depiction history and the enduring triumph of the American spirit. Long after everyone in this room is gone, our children and grandchildren will remain inspired by this national monument. Beginning construction this year on the architectural arch is a fitting way to commemorate the 250th anniversary of American independence. Great nations build beautiful structures that cultivate national pride and love of country, and this triumphal arch should be a project that all Americans of all political persuasions can support because it's a monument for every American to celebrate 250 years of our nation's proud history. And again, the plans for this will be submitted tomorrow. We'll have many more announcements with respect to our 250th anniversary in the coming months as we look forward to the 4th of July. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great day.
Why does it make the leftist people so miserable to hear any good news coming from this administration? I don't understand this, and people want to talk bad about this administration, but yet they haven't yet realized how bad it was under Biden, and they had no problem with it. You know how I know they had no problem with Biden's horrible administration? They still vote for Democrats. That's how you know. You know, and people might go now and be what's the new word that they're using now for Republicans that are chickens? What's it called? Pe- pelicans? I don't know what the hell. Somebody help me out with the name. Something can like a pelican. I don't know what the hell it's called, but you know they just it's just Republicans that are flakes. They're not real Republicans, you know, and it's crazy because I'm a Democrat, and I look more Republican than actual Republicans. I don't understand why does it not make sense with people? Tacos, stop making me hungry, bro. No, it's not a rhino going down. There's a new name. It's something like it sounds like a pelican, but there's a different word. I can't remember what it is. I'm sure somebody's gonna put it on there. But yeah, rhino would be the one that's normally used. But there's a new word out there that they're trying to to make viral apparently. All right, so here's a couple of stories that I'm going to share with you. This is just side information for you guys to dissect, to keep you informed with some of the stories that are out there. And this one is the story about a woman. It says, in Illinois, a woman claimed that she was detained by ICE for nearly 2 days and was actually relaxing at a hotel, getting spa treatments. According to a $1 million defamation suit filed by a county sheriff. Panican, thank you, Magic Man. Pelicans, yeah, thank you. Panican, Brian, Reedy, you also saw it over there. So I didn't see Brian's because I was in the middle of reading something. Thank you, guys. I know you guys got my back. Praise be to Allah. Oh, man. Illinois, that's right. Illinois. that both of them can be true at the same time. But here's the thing. U.S. citizen Sunny Navki, 28, gained national attention last month when she and a band of supporters, including Cook County, Illinois, Commissioner Kevin Morrison, publicly insisted she was unlawfully detained by ICE officers for roughly 43 hours. Nakvi claimed that after landing back in the U.S. from a work trip to Turkey on the morning of March 5th, she was detained for nearly 30 hours. Okay, now it's changed to 30. At Chicago O'Hare International Airport. Oh, okay. And then transferred to another ICE facility in Broadview, Illinois, before winding up at Dodge County Jail in Wisconsin. But surveillance footage shows a U.S. citizen Sundas actually at a spa. Does that remind you of somebody? Does that remind you of somebody? Remember COVID? Everybody? COVID shut down. Everybody stay home. Remember that? Yeah, well, there she is right there. Yeah. Yeah, this is how they detain you. When ICE takes you guys, listen to this. When ICE takes you, you got to get ready for the worst. Because they will take you to a spa and get your pedicure and manicure done. You got to be really careful. You just can't trust these ICE agents, man. They just, that's crazy. It is crazy. Now, Morrison, who called the Chicago area native his best friend's sister, shared questionable screenshots of Nakvi's location at the Juneau, Wisconsin jail on Facebook and decried the alleged incident during a tense media conference alongside sister in March 8th. This is a 20-year-old girl who just left on the street by ICE in another state without her property, the commissioners say. That's it. Well. Imagine that. Don't you love that when you get... This is the stories that nobody really wants to air out on TV, I think. Or who knows, maybe it is out there. It is aired out there on TV. There is another one here. You guys love this one. And you better not agree with this because, well, you're going to get in trouble. All right? Here is President Donald Trump. A man guaranteed he would kill the president. in the shocking messages sent directly to the CIA and White House. Wonderworld.com can reveal. The Justice Department announced that as recently as March 17, 2026, a man identified as a 29-year-old Michael Kovko of Chicago, of course, Chicago again, threatened to assassinate President Donald Trump, his son Barron Trump, 20, and U.S. Secret Service agents in a series of ambush attacks. Listen to this, man. Read that right there if you can. Man threatened to saw Barron's head off after killing the president. Let me tell you something. Now, there's a lot of mental illness out there. But I'm going to tell you, the way that people talk, not just in my chat, but on the streets, the violence, the man beating up defenseless women for doing their journalistic job. It's crazy. It's crazy. Grant Hindle, I don't know where you're at with that, but I hope that you're not agreeing with it. If you are agreeing with this, get out of my chat. Anyways, so he said that he's going to take a serrated knife and saw Barron's head off, blah, blah, blah. He successfully staked out the President of the United States with a high-caliber sniper rifle permanently aimed at the White House lawn from a local vantage point. The Illinois man allegedly declared in a disturbing message to the official White House. Wow. Tell me that we don't have any mental problems. These people are mentally ill. And all right, Pope on the rope, get out of my chat. I don't have time for your bullshit. Let's see, who else wants to go? Who else needs to go? Just let me know, and then I'll get you out of here. Okay. All right. Let's see. We'll leave this one for later. I have Trump's interview. Here, let me go ahead and just kind of shuffle around here on what I have. Okay. More heroes trying to get Trump. Okay, Grant, get the out of my chat, bro. Don't come back. Get out. Don't come back on my chat. You ungrateful bastard. There is a man running for governor in Florida, and well. This guy happened to be a Democrat, and I still don't understand why people want to vote Democrats. Check this out.
Maybe you recognize who that is. You're seeing body camera footage of a Florida governor candidate who was arrested in Flagler County on Friday. Kevin Sikowski is accused of battering two elderly victims. Deputies say he assaulted the victims inside their home, hitting one of them with a cane, throwing a cell phone at the other, making threats to kill both of them, and responding officers. When deputies arrived, they found the victims hiding in a bedroom. After Sikowski was taken into custody, deputies say he made suicidal statements and he was Baker acted. He is facing multiple felony charges. Maybe you recognize who that is. You're seeing body camera footage of...
You got it? That is what they call Democrats today. That's not a Democrat. That is not a Democrat. That's what we call fake Democrats. Okay? That's what we call fake Democrats. These people are mentally ill. They need help. Now, here's a story. Here's a story from CNN. It looks like it's about maybe 8 minutes. Who knows? We'll see if we play the whole thing. It's about 8 minutes long. And this is from CNN. So take a listen to this. This is actually something that piqued my interest a little bit. And we already know that the Iranian regime are full of terrorist liars, right? They lie to the American people. They got people infiltrated here. They got people in other areas of the world chatting and putting everything that the United States and the Israel do together. They're working overtime, daily, negative comments against Israel. And they eventually start convincing popular influencers that are easily bought because they want to continue to be popular. They want to continue to see all that revenue, clicks, views, etc. coming in, and they sell their souls for money, for fame, for whatever the hell they're doing. But whatever happens to their weak minds, they flip like flakes, like Megyn Kelly. Megyn Kelly. Let's see. Dennis, have you checked the president's Truth Social today? He may have opened the Strait this morning and mentioned China. I think I mentioned it already on the chat. But China, what I said was that China has actually said that Trump is not going to tell them what to do. So when Trump says that he's going to put some sanctions or whatever, China says that they're not going to be abiding by that, and they don't care what the United States says. So let's see what it says here. Let me look at the newest post. Okay, at the newest post. Here we go. Where did it go? Where did it go? Let's see. Let's go home here. For me, you. Give me a second, brother. Let's see. Oh, look at that. I got a message from President Trump. Hold on. Dennis, you are amazing. Oh, thank you, President Trump. I just got a message from President Trump saying that I'm an amazing guy, and he looks forward to having me over for dinner one of these days. Oh, man, that's so funny, bro. That is so funny. Let's see. We got Donald Trump Jr., Biden. he's got Biden on his page. That is funny, man. That is funny. I know that Eric Jr. doesn't want to go, doesn't want to run for office, but he will have my vote. I'll tell you that right now. Let's see. Hold on, what the hell happened to my page? Oh, here we go. I don't know what the hell happened here. All right, here's one of the tweets that he put in here on Truth Social. He says, I am working very hard with our great speaker, Mike Johnson, along with Chairman Jim Jordan and Chairman Rick Crawford, to get a clean extension of FISA 702 through the House of Representatives this week. I am asking Republicans to unify and vote together on the test vote to bring a clean bill to the floor. We need to stick together when this bill comes before the House Rules Committee today to keep it clean. When the dirty cop James Comey, the failed head of the FBI, went after me, he was using FISA Title I, the domestic collection, not FISA 702, the foreign collection, which needs to be extended today. While parts of FISA were illegally and unfortunately used against me and the Democrats' disgraceful witch hunt and attack future in the Russia hoax, and perhaps would be used against me in the future. I am willing to risk the giving up of my rights and privileges as a citizen for our great military and country. Our military patriots desperately need FISA 702, and it is one of the reasons we have had such tremendous success on the battlefield. I have spoken with many in our military who says FISA is necessary in order to protect our troops overseas, as well as our troops here at home from the threat of foreign terror attacks. It has already prevented many such attacks, and it is very important that it remains in full force and effect. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Now, let me see if I can find the one. Let's see. Let me see if I can find the one. If I can find it. Six hours, Starmer Wood. Herrera was a weapon Starmer would have rearmed Britain, but words don't win wars. Yeah. The Brits gave up their guns. Now their government puts them in jail for yelling, "We love bacon." Oh, man, that's funny. I don't see that post on Truth Social here. I don't know why it just jumps to. I hate Truth Social. I am not a fan of Truth Social. I really hate this platform. Yeah. Yeah, that's the only two tweets that I have in here, and I don't see anything else. So this is what he says. China is very happy that I am permanently opening the Strait of Hormuz. I am doing it for them also and the world. This situation will never happen again. They have agreed not to send weapons to Iran. President Xi will give me a big fat hug when I get there in a few weeks. We are working together smartly and very well. Doesn't that beat fighting? But remember, we are very good at fighting. If we have to, far better than anyone else. Could be true. Could be true. I believe it, but it could be true. The only thing that I am a little bit hesitant about is right now. I think we're good with Iran, but I also think that that there's other things going behind the scenes to where Iran could be getting help from Russia. It's not just China, but nobody pays attention to the lake north of Iran, and I mentioned this last night, but it's one of those things to where what are you going to do? You can't just sit here with your arms crossed and do nothing. You can't just say, "Oh, I hate wars." You can't just say, "Oh, no wars." One of the things that I hate about the leftist people. These people are so retarded that if they knew how to talk, no, forget that. If they were truthful, if they were honest, it would be so much easier to talk with them. But they're such hypocrites. They're such liars. They come and tell us that we're liars when we're trying to keep the country together. They blame us for oppressing our freedom of speech, and yet the first thing they do is come and hate on my hat because it says "Make America Great Again." They say that we're taking away their democracy, and yet they've been fighting for years. When we use democracy and we won, they act like we are the violent ones spreading hate, and yet they're the ones that are beating people up on the street. They complain about January 6th and forget about all the riots. They forget about all the commotion that they did for years during the whole first term of President Trump. But they want to bring in January 6th. The hypocrisy, the audacity to be able to come in and try to blame us for the stupidity of their actions. Everybody knows Nancy Pelosi is to blame for January 6th. But every leftist is going to defend that point. I get it. You're a loyalist. You're not a patriot. And some people did make a mistake, but I still believe that was a setup. There was plenty of videos out there that shows that the Democrats were lying about January 6th. With that being said, let's get on to our next clip because we're kind of running out of time here. Here we go.
New satellite images, and one of them is on your screen right now. And this is Iran, and you can see that there's earth-moving equipment there digging, and they are digging for missile launchers trapped underground amid the ceasefire, is our understanding from these images. Front-end loaders can be seen scooping up the rubble from blocked tunnels. Now, keep in mind the context here, right? Yes, you're technically in the middle of a ceasefire, and it's significant that they're digging out the launchers, but also this context, which is the most recent U.S. intelligence assessment that we have, found that about half of Iran's missile launchers were still intact after a month of fighting. So even as the President of the United States says that the war is over, the U.S. has won, that reality, of course, is important. And many of those launchers may have been buried underground, not necessarily on purpose, but by U.S. and Israeli strikes on tunnel entrances, hence the front loaders digging those out. So Kareem Sajapur is here with me. So Kareem, what do you see? You know, you look at those images, and obviously, I'm just going to point out the significance that for a while, when the fighting was hot, we weren't getting fresh satellite images. Now we are looking at these. You do see the front-loading equipment by those tunnel entrances, and we know the intelligence about the missile launcher. So what's the significance of Iran doing this right now?
So we're in this strange situation, Aaron, in that we've had this war which has been militarily devastating for Iran. Yet at the same time, we've had the most senior level contacts between America and Iran since the 1979 revolution. And when I speak to both parties, both folks in Tehran and here, it's clear that they much prefer to do a deal. I don't think anyone really wants to go back to war. That doesn't mean we're not going to go back to war, but I think there's a sense now that the momentum could be shifting more towards a transfer from hot conflict to cold conflict.
Iran is digging for missile launchers. There's satellite imagery showing front-end loaders seen digging rubble, digging up rubble, digging through rubble from those tunnels that had been struck and blocked by U.S. and Israeli forces. Is that to be expected, in your view, in the midst of a ceasefire, or does that indicate something else?
I think we really learned two different things from this activity by the regime. One is that, as everyone expected, we've been enormously effective and successful in the strikes that have been conducted thus far in the conflict. And so, if the idea was to reduce the number of ballistic missiles Iran had available to it, both by destroying the missile storage sites and by destroying launchers, we've had good success in that regard. At the same time, we also learned that there's a resiliency to this regime, and we've known this. I think we knew it going into it, but they're not going to give up, and they're not easily. And so, if they have to dig through the rubble to find launchers and to be able to cobble together systems, they're going to try to do that. And so, some of those targets, if this war goes on much longer, are going to have to be revisited.
Colonel Layden, what do you make, first of all, the satellite images? Should anyone be surprised that Iran would be trying to dig out some of its missile launchers from rubble during a ceasefire? That's, I assume, what we would do as well.
Yeah, I think we would do it as well, Anderson, and I think it's not a surprise that the Iranians are doing this. We know for a fact that the Iranians have been preparing to dig themselves out of these kinds of things for a really long time, and now that they've been attacked, and the result is that some of these underground tunnels have been hit, the entrances have been damaged, they are really gearing up to bring back the missile launchers and perhaps other things as well.
Margaret, the president apparently told Maria Bartiromo the war is over. It's a tease for her show tomorrow. He's said such things before, so I guess we'll have to sort of see what that actually means. On the blockade, is that legal? Can the U.S. blockade ports?
Yeah, it's a kind of a complicated scenario. So, of course, during peacetime, a blockade would be squarely illegal. In the wartime scenario, a blockade is basically a lawfully recognized act of war. But the significance of that is that we're not technically in a ceasefire if we are actually executing an act of war. So it's a very aggressive act. It basically allows you to use force against ships, against third-party country ships, right? Not just parties to the conflict who are attempting to breach the blockade. It also, as you just talked about with the colonel, has really redirected a lot of our attention and our focus to the Strait of Hormuz when it seems like there's a lot of activity happening inland that we should probably also be paying attention to.
You're talking about nuclear.
Yes.
Yeah. Colonel Layden, if the ceasefire expires without any deal or additional negotiations, what would you expect renewed U.S. military strikes on Iran to look like, to say nothing of Israeli strikes?
Yeah, that's a great question, Anderson. I think what we would do is we would concentrate on the Strait of Hormuz to keep that open, or to reopen it, really, I guess would be the better way of saying that. The other thing that could happen is they would go after places like Karg Island once again. Now, they've struck these targets many times, but that's something that they would probably do again. And then I would also expect them to once again hit leadership targets, and that would definitely be a combination of U.S. and Israeli strikes at that point.
I've talked to Margaret, General David Petraeus and others who said they expect the ceasefire to to be extended. Certainly seems like the administration is eager to get some sort of a deal. You heard the vice president say he thinks the Iranians want to make a deal. Nothing's in writing at this point. I mean, so is that normal? And would the next step be actually put something in writing? Does writing matter anymore?
That's a good question. Look, I don't think anybody even knows what the terms of the current ceasefire are, right? Like I said, we're actually conducting an act of war by emplacing a blockade. It's not clear that Israel agrees to any of the terms, that Iran understands any of the terms. So when you think about how long it took for the JCPOA to get nailed down, that was like over a year. I think it was 18 months. And now we're talking about just like slapdashing some agreement together in a couple weekends in Pakistan. You definitely want something in writing, if only to prevent what happened last time during the first.
There are going to be some people who listen to this and hear that and say, oh, well, look, this isn't how the president makes deals. And yes, you can do it the antiquated, slow way of like fine points on everything. But this is a new way of doing it.
Yeah, well, it's a new way with pretty significant consequences. We've seen 13 service members killed, a global economic crisis. So certainly there are many ways to do it, but some of them are more efficient than others.
Colonel Layden, how complicated would it be for the U.S. to go into Iran, seize its enriched uranium stockpile? Because the president himself talked about the complications of plane landing in wet sand during the operation to rescue the downed U.S. airmen on Easter Sunday. Presumably digging up the uranium would include, I mean, that would take a long time, wouldn't it?
It sure would, Anderson, unless we really know exactly where the uranium is, and we don't know that actually. But let's assume we did for a second. Even if we did, it would require building airfields. It would require, at the very least, clearing some of the area that we'd be working in. It would require the provision of bulldozers and front loaders and all other kinds of equipment. Basically what you'd get in like for a road construction detail. And the kinds of things that we could expect is a lot of equipment being lost in a situation like that. So like you saw the aircraft that were destroyed in the wake of the pilot rescue operation, the same kind of thing would happen there, but it would be at least tenfold, and it would take a lot longer than the rescue of the aircrew men took, and that would be a significant thing. You really can't do this kind of thing either without the cooperation of the Iranians, which you're not going to get, or with the element of surprise, and you're not going to get that either.
Yeah, I agree. I don't trust the Iranian regime. I really like what I hear from Pahlavi, and I would love to hear instead of I would love to hear "God bless America" instead of "Death to America." I think that we can all agree with that. And if you don't agree with that, then that actually tells me who you are as a person and where you stand with your moral grounds. Because not only are we fighting together next to Israel on the issues that other Middle Eastern countries, other Arab countries don't really want to get involved with because they don't have the military power to be able to handle their own. We are there because we want to make money. It's about making money. We want to help the economy. Does anybody remember? Does anybody know why we went to war against the Brits? Anybody? Just take a guess. We don't like wars. Why did we go to war against the Brits? Why did we kill some redcoats? Anybody? Anybody put it on the chat. Tell me, why did we go to war against the Brits? All right. Okay, here we go. You're all fake cowards. Okay, sure. I will take that. That is, I guess, a double negative on my side. That means that I am not a coward. Fake, pathetic cowards. No, that's not how you say it. You mean to say truly pathetic cowards. Dan, English is my second language, and I knew that. You guys don't know how to speak English, and that's your first language. Pathetic. For our freedom, taxation, taxes, subservient, tea time, 2% tax. Wow, everybody! I mean, you guys must be real American people in here. You're not American, so quit acting as if. I don't know, man. I'm American in so many ways. You have no idea. Yeah. Oh, so here we go. So here we go. This is an economical fight. Now, our excuse is that these guys have been saying death to America for a very long time. 47-year war, we're going to put an end to it. The difference is Israel hasn't said death to America. Qatar hasn't said death to America, not that I'm aware of. And, even though at some point, some of these Arab countries have been helping them terrorist Muslims, I get it. The religion thing is a pressure that they have to go on. But I can tell you right now that all the Arab countries around Iran are on our side. They agree with Trump doing what they're doing. See, the only reason why the UK doesn't want to get involved is because they're a bunch of vaginas. That's what they are. They're a bunch of vaginas now, and they just elected a socialist Democrat. I think he's a socialist Democrat. And then, what I mean is they elected a socialist Democrat in, what's the country? What is the country? Oh, my gosh, I forgot the country. I don't know why Poland is in my head, but it's not Poland. Swiss? No, it's not Swiss. Who just became president? Let me see. Hold on. Let me try to find his name. I can't believe I forgot about this guy's name. I forgot the country is what I mean. Let me see if I find it. Not Denmark, no. Let's see. I will find it. Hungary! Oh, my God. Thank you. Oh, man, I should have just looked at the chat. All I had to do was wait 10 seconds, and then you guys will tell me. Yes, Hungary. So they just elected a socialist Democrat in Hungary. And this is what the people want. The people that want to destroy nations. Listen, Democrats, socialist Democrats, I need you to understand something. Socialist Democrats do not admit when they are wrong. They will hide each other's sins. For example, we watched yesterday Eric Swalwell's best friend came out to defend himself, right? And he says everybody knew about it. All the rumors. He said everybody knew there was rumors about him doing this and that, okay? And then Nancy Pelosi says nobody knew. No, nobody knew. They contradict each other. They lie about each other. They cover each other. They even voted to not allow the sexual harassment lawsuits against congressmen to be public. Why? No, Michael. He's a leftist socialist Democrat is what he is. He's not a right-leaning moderate. He's not a moderate at all. As a matter of fact, Soros was involved in Hungary. Let that sink in. He's definitely not a moderate right. Gallegos knew as well, and they all knew. Everybody. See, I'm not the only one that knows this. Everybody knows about it, but they kept their mouth shut. Just like they all. Thank you, brother. Thank you, Magic. Just like they all knew about the fraud happening in Minnesota, happening in California, here in Washington, Oregon, just like they knew about this fraud. They lie about it. They covered it. And they think that we're stupid, that we're not going to pay attention, we're not going to notice. Look at Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom went over there and he condemned Nick Shirley for his investigative journalism. Now, I get it. He's not like a big company. And they can say all they want about him. But the fact is that he did a good job. He went to the right place. And then now today, now they're trying to pass a bill to stop people from finding out where the fraud is. They want to protect fraud. And now Gavin Newsom and the Attorney General in California want to go and take the credit for this. Oh, we have found all this fraud here in California, and as always, we take the lead, and they're trying to take all the credit from a young man and his team that have been doing all this investigative journalism. Democrats lie over and over and over. And I'm going to tell you this. California I want you to know this. California, as of 2025, we still got to know what's going on in 2026. As of 2025, California, it's the largest economy in the whole United States of America. We got 50 states. And California is the largest economy force behind the United States. I think it's over 13%, I think. 13% of the economy of the United States of America comes from California. Now, I will tell you this. Every state of the United States of America has the possibility of creating wealth. California is the best location, one of the best locations, okay? And then we have Oregon. Oregon also has a port. We have Seattle, Washington has a port. And, you know, these people that are on the coast have a great chance, you know, of good economy by doing trades. And I get this. It's fantastic. But the problem is that because of all of the taxes that they have been taking advantage from the people, all the taxes that they've been taking from the people, this is where most of their money comes from. 14%. Thank you there, Michael. 14%. Now, you will think, oh, my God, this is fantastic. Everything is great. You know, citizens are doing a tremendous job. Everything in California is perfect. California, yeah. Sorry about that. I don't know. Back in the 90s, it just kicked back in here for a little bit. But anyways, you know, California dreaming, you know, California is beautiful. It's naturally, it's a beautiful, I think the weather is what's most favorable in California, to be honest. Other than that, if California didn't have Universal Studios or Disneyland or even Knott's Berry Farms, I don't even know if that still exists. You know, if it didn't have all these different attractions for people to be entertained, it wouldn't be shit, to be honest. There wouldn't be that much money. And also, they have this thing called Hollywood. How much money do these Hollywood stars make? There's plenty of room to make billions of dollars in taxes and revenue, you know. But here's the catch: they are the highest poverty level in the country. Tell me, somebody help me out. I need your help. Make it make sense. California has the highest out of all the states, not the fourth, not the third, the highest economy out of all the states. Tell me, how is it that California has an unaffordability problem with a 17% plus poverty level? How does that make sense? How does that make sense? Look at Christian Gonzalez. Shut the hell up. If you haven't been to my channel before, learn some respect. You got to earn the ranks. You got to earn the ranks, because that's exactly what I tell people when they bitch and complain about the rich. Go make your own $1 million. Go make your billions. Stop bitching about somebody else's success and pick yourself up and do something. Now tell me, somebody, I need your help. I really need your help. Tell me, how does a state that has the highest economy that we can brag about have the most unaffordability in the country, has the highest poverty level in the whole country? It appears millions of times, Justin. What about it? Haggard, if you didn't know, he's been president twice. So when you say Trump loses at everything, you're a moron. Excessive taxes, obviously, my friend. Thank you, Andrew. Absolutely. Corruption, absolutely. Fraud, absolutely. Scammers, illegal immigration, cheap labor, borderline slavery. Let me tell you what you see in California. You go to the areas where the illegal immigrants are like this. This means there's no room. That's how many of them are. This means that there is no room. That's what that means, okay? Just so you know, this is a Hispanic thing. It was like this, like there was no room for anybody else. It's just full of illegal immigrants. You're going to find prostitutes, drug dealers. You're gonna find all the corruption, the scammers, the fraudsters. In California, the governor and the mayors, they know this. And they just let it go. They just let it go. I don't know how we lose if we have President Trump as president. We won. Now shut the hell up and wait 2.5 more years so that you can say something. In the meantime, stay in the corner, stay quiet, be hidden amongst the shadows. Don't come out until you actually do something to help this country. All right? All right. Thank you. I find it interesting that the states, I mean, I know how it works, but I'm just trying to make conversation here. I find it interesting that the states that supposedly are not as, economical, they have no chance to stand against California, you can actually still own your house. See, in California, you will never, ever, 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 ever own anything. You got a yacht, that belongs to the government. You are only renting it. You got a house, you're not owning. You are only renting it. California is the largest economy state in the country, has lost hundreds of billions of dollars. By this time next year, we'll check, maybe before, we'll check and see where the California's economy stands. I can tell you something. Here, let me do a little research so I can share with you. Let's see, how much money has California lost in 2026? Let's just see what happens. Let's see how much money has California lost in 2026 economy. Let's see if that gives us something. It might give nothing. Spitballing here. Let's find out. Let's see what happens. Let's see. Okay, here we go. So for the 26-27 fiscal year, California is projected to face a budget deficit. It's not that much, guys, of approximately $2.9 billion. Oh, wait, there's more to that. To $18 billion. While the governor's budget projects lower $2.9 billion shortfall based on higher revenues, the nonpartisan Legislative Analyst Office originally projected much larger than $18 billion. Now, why would you even believe Gavin Newsom by now? They've been hiding fraud for decades, they said. The AG came out and said, Robert Bonta came out and said that they've been looking into this for decades. That's how much of a failure these pieces of crap are. They've been doing this for decades, they say. And it took a 20-year-old YouTuber to uncover hundreds of billions of dollars. I'm exaggerating. Hundreds of millions of dollars in fraud that can lead up to billions. But check this out. I'm not done yet. The state is also experiencing a net income loss from tax migration with $91.4 billion. Now, they still, till today, they're still the largest economy, so I'm going to give them some credit on that. Here is the key points, okay, key aspects, deficit projections. The deficit is considered structural, right, with projections suggesting shortfalls could persist at $15 to $25 billion annually through at least 2029. Did you hear that? The deficit, $15 to $25 billion annually through 29. Isn't that crazy? Okay, so here is the thing that I'm not going to tolerate, okay? All right, Quintero, get the hell out of my channel. Bye-bye. Who else? Who else was coming in here talking shit? Let's see. I'm pretty sure Nicky is corrupt. Okay. Obscure. I'm going to take that as sarcasm. I'm going to let you go one time. Is Jason guy one that was convicted of touching a minor? You're gone. Don't be a moron. Let's say, Cranky, I still love California and visit whenever I can. Everything is nice when you just visit, isn't it? All right, let's see. We'll go ahead and continue to go here. Kramis has $500 billion in state debt and $1 trillion in debt in municipalities. Wow. Wait a minute. What? Didn't read that one. Didn't read that part in there, but that is crazy-er. But yeah, $91 billion. Now, let me see if, I don't know, maybe Google will tell us where this has gone. So let's take a look at a red state. Give me a red state. Let's see. Gain. Well, in early 2026, Governor Kay Ivey announced that Alabama achieved a record-breaking year in economic development for the 2025 year, with a $14.6 billion in new and expanding industry investments across 234 projects. This is very interesting. Let's take a listen. Let's take a look and see what's going on here. Let's see, investments and job creation. The $14.6 billion in investment for 2025 is the highest annual capital investment in the state's history. Projects include a $6 billion investment from Eli Lilly and Company and a $1.2 billion investment from ArcelorMittal. The GDP and growth. Alabama's economy grew by 4.7% in the third quarter of 2025, totaling over $262 billion. The economy has projected to grow by approximately 1.5% in 2026. The seasonally adjusted unemployment rate in Alabama dropped to 2.7% by December, with employment expected to grow by 0.06% in 2026. Alabama, blue or red? Blue or red? That's crazy, right? I'm assuming Alabama is a red state. Let's take a look at another number here. As early of 2026, Alabama's state tax on gasoline is 30 cents per gallon for regular gasoline and 31 for diesel. That's pretty good, I think. Right? I think that's pretty good. I mean, 1 cent difference in taxes for diesel? That sounds affordable to me. The state's gas tax generated $724.48 million in fiscal year 2025 after administrative deductions. That sounds not bad to me. That sounds okay. Now, the problem is not the taxing. The problem is, what are they doing with those taxes? Right? Let's see. There you go. Give me another red state. Give me another red state. Somebody give me another red state. Let's say Florida. Let's see what Florida's doing, because Florida is I think the fourth largest. Right? Let's take a look. This is so weak. This is so weak. This is crazy. Watch this. This is nothing. This is nothing, guys. It's nothing. As of early 2026, Florida's economy is valued at approximately $1.76 trillion and is expected to continue growing, though at a more moderate pace than most pandemic years. The state's real GDP is projected to grow by 2.3% in 2026. Florida's revenue estimating conferences added $502.5 million to the 25-26 fiscal year, estimated an additional $70 million to the 26-27. Now, I want you to pay attention, because as of right now, I want you to watch this. So you hear that California is the largest economy, right? I think they're up there higher than $1.76 trillion. But the thing that you have to pay attention is how their economy is going to start dropping billions and billions of dollars, while others who have been on the lower state in the economy are going to be gaining, and gaining. As the years go by, they're going to be gaining even more money, to where California is going to be losing more money. You know, and let's not forget that California has a problem with fires. California has a problem with water. California's, priorities are screwed. They prioritize illegal immigrants over American citizens. We kept telling people that the illegal immigrants and scammers, fraudsters, were taking money from the California healthcare. They said we were lying. Liars. There's no proof. And now we got proof, and now they say we are taking charge. And we are doing this. Really? You've been calling us liars all this time. Now you're taking charge? Really? Who's the liar? All the leftist people that come through my channel called me a liar when I said that California, Washington, Oregon, Minnesota, all these places are committing fraud, and billions of dollars, of taxpayer dollars, are being wasted. California has a horrible population problem. I guarantee it. And you can say, listen, I'm Hispanic, so you can't tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about. I can guarantee you, go to a very populated area with Hispanics. Go find out how they live. The people that have businesses, they don't live there. They want to go and live where the white people live. It's the same thing with black people. They don't want to live where black people live. They want to go live where the white people live. I wonder why that is. I wonder why that is. Why is it that every person wants to go where the white people are? Think about it. Think about it. You got all these Muslims. You got all these Muslims from the Middle East. Where do they go? Where the white people are. Why don't they go to where other Muslims are? Think about it. Where do they go? They go where white people are. Period. Where do Africans go? They go where white people are. Isn't that crazy? And then people want to say, oh, white supremacy. Well, that's because you feel inferior. I don't believe white supremacy exists. But I believe that you feel inferior to white people. And that, my friends, makes you a racist. Not the other way around. South Africa. I don't want to wait. Na, na, na. Na, na, na. Right? You guys remember that from that little gig from Jamie Foxx when he went to Africa? Africa. South Africa. The Afrikaners, white people. When the white people worked the land, they kicked them out. They say, this is the black African coming out. This is our land. Get out. And they kicked them out to a place where nobody can survive. And the weirdest thing happened. The Afrikaners, the white people, created a small town with their own water, with their own power. They thrived. They're builders. They're settlers. They're farmers. They're innovators. Man. Oh, man. Hugo, put something smart in the chat. I'm not going to block you yet. Put something smart in the chat. Oh, never mind. Somebody blocked you already. Hey, I'm just trying to give you a little bit of facts. Hey, man. Look, there's a little spoon for you right there. All of you minority people, all you brown, black, yellow, whatever the hell color you want to crave, you will never compare to white people. Knock it off. Just accept it. Oh, man. You guys are so retarded. Let me tell you, on the real. I don't believe white people are any better than anybody else. But throughout history and even today, come on, you got to admit, they are pretty darn good. You know what I'm saying? They are pretty darn good. I want to know. You know, this is funny. This is a story that I heard a few months back, maybe over a year now, I think. Maybe. I don't know. It's been months, at least months. Right? There is this, I don't know, if somebody has heard about this story, you can go ahead and put it on the chat. Maybe you can correct me a little bit. I didn't really pay attention to this, but it's still kind of in the fade, okay? The black community. The black community, I can't remember what state or what city this was complaining that there was too many white people in the black community. I'm saying, the black people were complaining that there was too many white people in the black community. So just the same thing that happened in South Africa. The black Africans killed the Afrikaners, the white people. They kicked them out somewhere else, and they made their own little white town. And then they destroyed the farms. They failed. They failed in their farms. And the white Afrikaners, they just thrived. Well, here's the story. So some black community people were complaining that there was too many white people in their community. So the white people decided to move. Everybody move. And they decided to make this new town whites only, no blacks. Now, here's the kicker. They thrive. No crime. Peaceful. Prosperous. The white people left the black community. The black community still ghetto. Full of crime. Violent. Why? Why? White people are so bad. Why? Why do we have the most crime in black communities? Why do we have the most crime in Hispanic communities? Why? That's a big question. Somebody's going to come in here, because there's a real question. Somebody's going to come in and say, where the Epstein files at? Where the Epstein files at? Oh, too much truth. Too much facts in this channel. Where the Epstein files at? Oh, man. Can't make this up. Oh, man. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. I says it as I sees it. Oh, man. I love me some white people, man. I love me some white people. I know that's triggering a lot of people right now to hear that. Because I'm joking, guys. I don't believe that there's any race is better than the other. But I will say this, Bill Leslie, I'm going to tell you something right now. Bill, you hit the nail on the head. This is how I see American culture. I love to see the nuclear family. The house with the white picket fence, the American dream. It only happens when you have people that believe in working hard, sacrificing time, and be rewarded. This is the American dream, the place where you can sacrifice yourself to save money, to build a house and own it and someday leave it for your children as inheritance. But now the socialist Democrats, they destroyed that dream. You can never, ever own a house. Never will own a house in the United States of America. Well, let me clarify. On every blue state and city, you'll never be able to do that. So what is the incentive? What is the incentive for us to be better people, to be better citizens? First of all, when you see black people that are educated, they call them Uncle Toms. There you go. Why? Because the black man is educated? Because he believes to be civilized? He believes in respect and honor? And he believes in the nuclear family? Because he wants to be there for his children? That's why he's Uncle Tom? Is that right? Is that right? Uh-huh. Yeah, okay. You continue to have a ghetto mentality and you will stay ghetto. Ghetto is not just for black people. It's for Mexican people, for Hispanics, Hondurans, all the people that come in here, especially when they come here illegally. That's what they do. If they don't respect the law, if they don't respect federal law that can get them sent to jail and deported and have all this shame, if they don't respect that law, they're not going to respect any other law. I had Ruben in downtown L.A. I'm buying a car. Chevy Malibu, 2005. I bought the car. The guy says to me, he's like, hey, listen, I got an errand to run. You want to go with me? And then we can finish the paperwork. I said, you know what, man? I got all day. Let's go. We drove to Ruben's house. It was a little townhouse. We went to Ruben's house. The guy comes out, the dealer comes out with an envelope. He shows me the envelope, and there is licenses, California licenses. $50 a pop. 2005. $50 a pop. These are illegal immigrants that were buying a car. They were applying for a loan, and they got these fake licenses that this guy hooked them up with. Guess who was the employee of the month for 6 months in a row? Yeah, that's right. That dealer that went to Ruben's house. That's right. Illegals committing fraud, even those that wear a suit and pretend to be a good business person. Committing fraud, $50 a pop a license. I'm sure it's more expensive now. They look legit. And I'm like, man, what the hell? And here I am doing everything legal. I got to wait years. I gotta pass tests. I got to pass criminal backgrounds. I got to do all of this testing. I got to do all of this, loopholes and things, and I respect the law, and you got to wait this and that. And these mofos just pay a few dollars and can bypass all of that. Imagine that. This guy. Dwayne's World. This guy. My bro, you're a retard. Did you not hear what I just said? I'm giving you a testimony here. It's not somebody told me. I was the guy in the car with this guy. You said I have no proof. What about the Attorney General, Robert Bonta, that said that Nick Shirley was full of it? Gavin Newsom said the same thing. And now, they discover over $250,000 in fraud. They discover? No, Lisa, not that. Not Rubio. I said Ruben. That was his name. It's probably from Honduras, to be honest. That's a Honduran name right there. Ruben. Yeah, that's right. Don't be calling the host any names. You will get booted, suckers. Why can't you just handle the truth? You just can't handle the truth. That's where I'm at. You guys can't handle the truth. Here is, no, we already saw that one. Crude oil. Let's see where we're at with crude oil. Crude oil is, oil Brent is at 94.76. 94.76. Juan, just the name. The name already tells me that you're an illegal immigrant. Uh, you know why it tells me you're an illegal immigrant? Because you disagree, and you're a liar for saying that those things don't happen. You know it happens. Everybody knows this. Everybody knows it happens. Grant Reed knows. Grant Reed knows that it happens. I'm going to tell you this. Any Hispanic in this chat knows that that kind of fraud happens. It happens. Listen, I lived in an apartment with some illegal immigrants. I stayed with them for like a week. And I tell you what, somebody came knocking on the door because they had all my information, all my papers. Somehow, somebody got a copy of my passport in my room where I have everything, door locked and everything. And these mofos that were my roommates broke in there, copied all my information, and sold it to somebody about 10, 15 miles away from where we lived. They came knocking. Detectives were watching these people because they are known criminals. And they showed me my stuff. I was like, whoa, hey, wait a minute. Why do you have my stuff? Yeah, I'm a private investigator. Whoa, hey, you can't be having my shit. That's my stuff. Well, the guy didn't give it to me, but I didn't fight either. So, it happens. It happens. So everything that I tell you here is truth. I don't lie about anything that I say. I could be wrong on dates, times, etc., but I never lie. That's a big difference. So you can correct me on a date. Maybe I mispronounced something. It is what it is, all right? That you can correct me on. But I don't lie. And if you don't like the truth, well, you came to the wrong channel. Here we go. Let's see. Oh, man. How much time do we got? Yeah. I think that's all we got. Plus, let's see how many subscribers. We got 18,763. That's probably about 18,700. I discard about 63 of those subscribers just in case. There's a lot of leftist people that just want to come in here and troll my channel. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and listen to bigger refunds on the... No, we already saw that. We saw the equivalent. Don't need to go in and keep beating a dead horse. I think that we are good. I will, however, when we come back on our second half of the show, we're going to go ahead and listen to some Ukraine Defense Contact Group, some sort of meeting that they had on there. I don't want to touch it right now. The chat's pretty quiet, even though we got a couple of hundred people there. I want to say thank you guys for being here with me. I appreciate you. We'll see you guys on the next one for my members. I will go ahead and go live with members only in just a little bit. So, man, I'll tell you what, if people can come in here and call me a liar, you can say whatever you want. But that will just get you booted off my channel. If you want to hear the truth, you will come back and visit me. And we'll talk about all this stuff, but you got to have an open mind. Don't call me a liar unless you have something to prove that I am lying. Go fact check everything. I always tell you, take my advice with a grain of salt. It is what it is. I support Democrats, real Democrats, not the fake-ass libtards that we have pretending to be Democrats, who they identify as socialist Democrats. Hey, God bless you all. Thank you all my members. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking. Thank you for those haters that just make me laugh sometimes. But I get a big kick out of kicking you out of my chat. Hey, God bless you guys. God bless your family. God bless the USA. And I will see you all on the next one.